Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the results from this past weekend's Milwaukee Regional Championships, breaking down the results. As Azul, I'm sure, is devastated to learn that Raging Bolt won a tournament. We will have Guess That Flavor Text, everyone's favorite segment of the podcast. And we're going to wrap up this week with a couple of other topics, talking about one, the Champions League Aichi with the brand new uh, Glory of Team Rocket set. Oh, I almost said Destined Rivals, but it will be what is our Destined Rivals coming out very, very soon. And then also some of the reveals from that tournament, the brand new black and white cards, which are going to be what did they call them in English? It just announced it today. Black Bolt and White Flare sets to come out this summer. And it is a set confirmed by release date that will be legal for the World Championships. Then we're going to wrap things up over on our weekly bonus episode, exclusive 30 minutes extra given to our not Patreon, Spotify subscribers and YouTube channel members. My name is Chipper Chin. I'm joined here as always by my friend and co-host Azul GG. Azul, how we doing, buddy? Have you gotten over it? Have you gotten Raging Volts?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Chip. Had a long weekend of streams. I did the streamed both, not just the Milwaukee Regional Championships, but also the Champions League over in Aichi. So started streaming on was it Friday, streamed day one of Aichi, got to bed around midnight. Then I woke up for day one of Milwaukee, which transitioned very well into day two of Aichi. Like as soon as the Milwaukee stream was ending, the stream was starting for day two of Aichi. It's like a 10-minute difference or something like that. So
That day has to
yeah.
have been your longest stream day ever, right?
Yeah, it was like 20 hours. Definitely the
Holy
longest. I've
cow.
never done like a 24-hour stream or anything like that. I don't think I ever will. I don't have any as of right now for where I'm at with my content. I don't have any real drive or want to do a like 24-hour stream or anything like that. So yeah, 20 hours this time. I guess that would be the only reason it would happen, right? Because I was only 4 hours short. If the tournaments had gone on longer and I wasn't feeling too tired, I probably would have done 24 hours.
Were
So
you feeling too tired?
I was getting a little tired at the end, but I stuck it out. Saw made it through the finals over in Aichi, where we almost saw. Well, we saw Raging Bull get to the finals, but it was I don't if I remember correctly, that set wasn't that close. Charizard was in pretty good control. Charizard Dragapult, but we'll talk about that more later. So yeah, I was watched a lot of Pokemon over the weekend. It was fun. The streams are good. Had a ton of fun watching. Yeah, not just Milwaukee, but Aichi as well. And it just kind of makes me more excited for doing more, watch party restreams in the future. Which there's nothing coming up this weekend, but weekend after there should be some stuff coming up. What about you, Chip? How are things going?
Things are going good. Yeah, we're just playing the waiting game over here for baby number 2. I thought there was a decent shot we would not have a podcast episode this week, but here we are recording it. We will see if by the time the episode comes out next week, if Richie baby number 2 has made his way into the world. But yeah, just playing the waiting game over here. We're doing good. Brooke is feeling good. Samuel's excited, so it's all good stuff over here. I actually had a good time this weekend watching Milwaukee. It's been a while since I've not been to one of the major tournaments. I guess I didn't go to EUIC this year, so I did watch EUIC. But other than that, I go to most of the tournaments, so I don't get to kind of sit back and chill and watch or have it on in the background and stuff. So I had a good time watching. Um, Kind of seeing how the tournament played out, and then also been watching some NBA playoff basketball, which has been very exciting. We were just talking before we started recording about some of the games that happened last night. There's a couple games tonight. So yeah, looking forward to seeing kind of who makes it into the conference finals and kind of how those stories go. Of the teams that are still in, do you have anyone you're particularly rooting for to see go far, Azul? I know you've watched a little bit of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a decent amount. Apparently, I've missed some of the best games, though. I did miss that game yesterday, and then I also missed there was a Lakers Timberwolves game. I think that was like one of the better games of the playoffs. I've missed both of those so far. As far as rooting for a team goes, honestly, it'd be kind of cool to see the Timberwolves make it to the finals. I mean, I think the Celtics are going to be there probably waiting for whoever. Um, We'll see though. I think the biggest question is kind of who is going to make it there to the finals to play against the Celtics. But I don't know. I guess the Celtics have choked in the past, so them falling short despite having gotten a championship is definitely possible. But yeah, no one who I
Bro,
mean,
they choked like a 25-point lead last night.
it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. But I'm I would predict the Celtics to be there. If I was a betting man, I'm betting on the Celtics to at least make it to the finals, and then they
Sure.
probably are the favorites. But honestly, yeah, Timberwolves or honestly the Nuggets. I know they're not as good as they have been in the past years, but like, would anyone be that surprised to see the Nuggets in the finals? I don't think so. So, yeah, Timberwolves or the Nuggets making it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty excited to watch the Timberwolves too. I saw someone call them the best sixth seed ever in basketball history, which I don't know like enough of the history to know if that's totally true. But the team does seem pretty good and pretty well put together. I'm a big
Yeah,
fan of Anthony Edwards, their star guard, and also our buddy Michael Slutsky is big a big Timberwolves and Minnesota sports fan. So I'd be
yeah,
I always root for the Minnesota sports teams when they're not playing one of my teams. Out of respect to our buddy Michael. Um, but yeah, been a good time and excited to watch some more of those games. They will be going on while we are recording tonight. Actually, one of them probably is live right now, so I might check in on the scores every once in a while while we're recording. But yeah, let's go ahead and just hop into things because we do have a few things to talk about. Nothing like super crazy, I guess. It's mostly still just more tournament results and what's going on. Yeah, you were talking about before how it's like the first time in a while we're having a episode where we don't have a tournament that we're talking about that's coming up this coming weekend, but we'll make up for it with four major tournaments coming up next the following weekend, right?
yeah, yeah. So nothing coming up this weekend, but yeah, next weekend there's 3 tournaments. Only one of them is probably going to be streamed. We have
I think there's
Santiago
four,
and
buddy.
Melbourne. Oh, there might be a fourth.
Well, there's
Santiago and
a
Melbourne won't be streamed.
yeah,
And then oh yeah, that's right. There's the Thailand Master Ball League happening as well. There should be a stream for that. There should be a stream for the Thailand Master Ball League.
might be another long
Um,
stream weekend for you, buddy.
yeah, and then Utrecht. What is the time? How does the time even line up for those? I don't even know when when did the one in the Philippines start? I'm trying to like think back. I think it was like a 5 p.m. ish. So I mean, honestly, that could line up where it's like because the Thailand Master Ball League should start on Friday, and Utrecht starts at like 2 a.m. my time Saturday. So it might be like yeah, that could be an interesting stream for sure. Start with Thailand Master Ball League around like 5 p.m. on Friday, and then go into Utrecht
They might only stream day
Saturday.
2 though, right? Isn't that what they did
That's
with the
true.
Philippines?
Yeah, yeah, actually, you might be right. I think maybe that is gonna probably be then it would just be a stream on Saturday would be the results from that. Actually, I can go over actually, it might be already scheduled.
Yeah, they do
Actually,
have it on,
well,
a website usually, but,
what is it? What was this one coming up? I was actually curious. It's
Thailand
Thailand?
Basketball League.
The one for Singapore is scheduled, but not I don't see one for
Mm,
Thailand, so I don't
I
know when
guess
the
it's
one for
possible
Thailand's
there
gonna
isn't
happen.
one.
It might be being streamed somewhere else though, to be honest, because there's like a YouTube channel, Pokemon Asia English is where a lot of the tournaments are streamed, but some of them are they're not it doesn't seem like they're all there, so
Mm.
I'll have to hunt it down if there's a stream.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, let's start by talking about the results from this past weekend's tournament. We did, of course, have the Milwaukee Regional Championships. It ends up being one of the smaller North American tournaments, but it did cap very quickly. So I think it definitely could have been bigger. But those Midwest tournaments are usually a little bit more sparse compared to the East Coast. But yeah, it ends up being 1,657 players is the reported number here. And Christian Labella gets the win with Raging Bolt. Now, Christian's been a very good player for a long time. He had some really good finishes in juniors and seniors. I think he won an IC in both juniors and seniors, I want to say. Might want to fact check myself on that one, to be honest. But this is his first major dub as a Masters Division player. He's gotten second place and top cuts plenty of times, but has not quite gotten the win. So definitely congratulations there to Christian on that finish.
Yeah, definitely a player who like it's one of those players who like the community at large might not know the name, but if you've been around for a little while, been to a couple major tournaments, you're not surprised to see him in cut. And it's kind of he definitely feels like one of those players. And I feel like we've had a lot of those players this season. It's like as long as he remains competitive in the game, it's kind of just like a matter of time before he gets his first dub, right? And you got to hear in Milwaukee with the raging balls. No. Now I will I did want to make a comment on that. I really don't care about being wrong in the Pokemon TCG. If anything, being wrong is just like means there's that much more I don't know about the game. So yeah, overall it's not that big of a deal to me. But hey, the more decks that are good is usually makes the game more interesting. So especially when they're like people know about them. I feel like Zork was kind of been in the same boat for a little while, where it's like people know about Zork, but we haven't really seen it perform. It actually had a decent performance at this tournament. I think we'll continue to see it have more and more success. So and Raging Ball was definitely on the downswing. Actually, one place we forget to start is the meta breakdown. So if we want to
Yeah.
go back to, if we want to go over to the meta breakdown, Raging Bolt it peaked at 14%, I want to say, in Monterey. I looked at these numbers the other day and was all the way down to 8% here in Milwaukee. I don't think it's going to be for long, though. I think it's back on the come up after
Yeah.
Dub.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw after Caleb Gettimer won in Louisville with Raging Bolt. It was a little bit on a downward trend then. Caleb wins with it, and it becomes really popular moving forward. Yeah, we will. All it takes is one little spark of life for the Bolt believers, to catch fire once again. But yeah, very interesting to see that because it's also traditionally a deck that does not convert super well from day one to day two, but it had really good finishes. There's what, one, two, three, four, five, six players in the top 32, in addition to Christian with the first place finish. So I mean, that's a really solid amount of players cashing with the deck on the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's a decent amount of a better finish than we've seen before. The conversion rate also the last couple tournaments has been um better than what we had seen at some tournaments before that. I think it stayed about even in terms of overall play percentage from day 1 into day 2. And honestly, maybe part of its success is due to it becoming a little bit more under the radar. Although I don't know, as far as like teching for the deck goes, I don't know what kind of adjustments people have really been making. Not really much. Like there's not too much more. Like, yeah, no one's building their decks around Raging Bolt. We just kind of consistently be seeing it doing okay, getting a top cut here and there, but then having like pretty bad conversions from day 1 to day 2. So I feel like no one really consider Raging Bolt to be too big of a threat, and that's going to be one of those things with a deck like Raging Bolt as well. There's not that many players of Labella's caliber who are going to pick it up and play it. And that's always going to be a factor for success. And I feel like I talk about that a lot. Or I've been talking about it more and more. I feel like um, helping people better understand like why a deck can be good but not do well. Like Raging Bolt, I definitely underrated it personally. I don't think it's like a tier 1 deck or anything like that. I'm not putting Dragapult all of a sudden into tier 1 on my tier list. But I think I definitely underrated it personally. And now if Labella hadn't brought this, I don't think Raging Bolt's winning this tournament. Like if you simulate this tournament again and Labella or if you take like a couple more players of Labella's caliber away from playing this deck, like it's not getting this result. So that's always going to be a big factor. That's just one of those things that we see trend in the Pokemon TCG. Usually, these kind of decks do not attract the highest level of players, but it doesn't mean that they're not good enough to get there. It just needs to have someone pilot it to the efficiency that Labella did, alongside it being a good deck to get the dub.
Yeah, one thing we should start doing, I think, more consistently whenever we talk about specific players' tournament runs is look at kind of what that run looked like. Since we now have this data from Limitless Labs, we can see what someone played against every single round.
Yeah,
And he hit, a pretty wide spread of the meta, not too much Dragapult. So that's kind of the missing thing here.
yeah.
Avoided
Just like at the
Dragapult
end.
really until top cut, right? But was able to still handle those Dragapults in top cut.
Yeah, beat both of them pretty handedly. I mean, Julio did not draw very well. It's like I won game 1 against Labella in a really cool comeback, a really nice comeback, and then game 2 and game 3. Game 3 was oh man, it was so hard to watch. Game 3 play IO still hasn't gotten a Dreepy yet.
Yeah.
Plays Iono, no Dreepy. It was like
Well, didn't he also research away a hand with like 5 energy cards in it or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
too?
That was part of it as well. Yeah, like he researched. Oh yeah, maybe that was it. Research away a hand with like 5 energy, hits no Dreepies, or maybe one Dreepy, and then I get immediately sniped by the baby Bolt. So it's like he's gonna lose anyways. Give him a Dreepy, bro. Come on. It was already so bad at that point, but yeah, I handled both those matches. The top 4 in the finals for Labella were both pretty one-sided. But like you said, yeah, a decent mix of the meta, right? 3 Joltik boxes a lot, but it converted really well in today too, which is something we can go back to and look at the meta game. But then a couple Flareons, couple Guardies, like nothing crazy.
Yeah, and looking at the metagame, Joltik Box has one of the highest win rates of the most actually of the top,
Yeah.
10 decks. It has the highest win rate by a pretty decent margin as well. I mean, you see decks like Gardevoir, 45%, Golden Go, 46, Dragapult even up to 48, but Joltik Box almost 52% win rate through the tournament. That's extremely high
Yeah. And for
for
anyone
for a
who's
deck
on
that's this highly played.
yeah, for anyone who might be unfamiliar with looking at these numbers, like most decks do not crack 50%. Especially when they're like the more heavily played decks. I mean, something has to be right to make up the percentage difference. Something's got to be winning more than losing. But also, this also is factors in ties, right? So is it like wins? Oh no, didn't we talk about this? Didn't
Yes,
we talk
a
about this
tie
recently?
counts as 1/3 of a win for the
Okay, okay,
percentage because it's
all right.
1 match point versus 3 match points.
Yeah, so very few decks are actually going to crack 50%. So 50% is definitely a pretty big deal. As far as the other meta percentages goes, I mean, Dragapult is at 20%. Not a big surprise. Golden Go kind of bounced back a little bit. And honestly, I think, but it didn't have a very good showing. Like it was fine. Rogerson was there in top 16. I think tied the win in it, was maybe close to the win in it. I don't know. There, the
He
some
lost
of
in
the
round 11.
Okay, so that was like the potential for getting into cut was there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, beat Maddox in the last round. So not quite on the winning end. So yeah, Golden Go had another underwhelming tournament, but I don't think that's anything to worry about. I think Golden Go will like have its will bounce back. It'll probably drop in percentage a little bit due to its lack of success the last couple tournaments, but I think it's still gonna hang around that 12% mark or something like that. 15 is pretty high though. 15 is pretty high.
Yeah.
Um
And then Gardevoir stays popular. I mean, I guess we should say continues to gain
yeah,
popularity. A big difference from where it was at Atlanta, right, where it was not even on the day one graphic. Now all the way up to 12.5%. That's kind of bound to happen whenever a deck wins as many major tournaments in a row as Gardevoir did. And no real surprise, I guess, that Brent Tonneson is in top cut yet again
and
with
again,
Gardevoir with the Brixty. Is that what the kids are calling it these days? The Brixty.
yeah, some are against that though, and the originators of the Drixty um, are anti the Brixty name, but yeah, the Brent 60 here. Yeah, a lot of success. If you actually look at it, it got one of the longest Limitless pages now ever. If you go over to Limitless and look at it, so you can show people what we're talking about for anyone who's
Yeah.
listening. But yeah, on Limitless, the main website, not the labs website. If you click on just anyone's deck list in a tournament, it'll show everyone else who played the exact same 60 in any major tournament. And is this I don't know if this is the longest list ever, but it's getting up there
It is
for
high.
sure.
That Reagan Retzlaff Lugia list is pretty high up there.
I'm waiting for the first one where when you scroll down, you have to it's all names until you scroll more.
Was it
I'm
this
waiting.
one?
We'll get there eventually. Oh, it's bigger than that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were so many people who played this at Milwaukee. I was kind of joking a little bit. I was like, as long as Brent doesn't tweet out, something like, actually, instead of the fourth nest ball, you should play this. We could see it actually be definitely by far the biggest ever.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure. As of right now, it seems like it is the biggest. As we're looking through some of these past
What's another
tournaments.
one? Did Andrew Hedrick's list uh the Broken Lugia deck, did that one have super high?
Hmm,
I don't remember.
maybe. Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
he
know.
changed the deck list a couple times, so that's something that's preventing it.
Yeah, as long as Brent doesn't change a card and keeps doing well, and then doesn't ever tell anyone to change a card, even if he changes a card, the potential for
There was an Ian
uh
Robb deck that
yeah, there was it the Ian Robb
was it the
Lugia.
Ian Robb Lugia? That might be what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of. Yeah.
but still not quite as much. It's
Still not
definitely
quite as much, yeah.
yeah, the Brent 60 is taking over for sure as far as Guardy decks go. And yeah, we'll see how much bigger this can get. And we got some more tournaments coming up in 2 weeks. Definitely some time for things to change, but Brent's still confident in it. Ran it again, despite 2 weeks or a week difference in time. Um, Played the same 63 tournaments in a row now, right? Atlanta, Monterey, now here. I don't think he's changed a single card. So very confident in his testing up to this point with it.
And then yeah, Joltik box does really well. It doesn't have it converts really well, has a high win percentage, but as far as the top end of the tournament, obviously there was Alex
Yeah.
Chandler in top 4, Nate Kersey in top 32, but it falls off pretty heavily after that.
Yeah, not like it's
It,
pretty popular, but not ridiculously successful. Yeah.
yeah.
It did okay in terms of its success, but it did have one of the best conversion rates. I guess we could talk about the Terra box real fast. We mentioned Raging Ball at the 8%, but it's probably going to have a turnaround swing from there. Terra box has been kind of holding solid here at this 5% mark, same as it was last tournament. I do think the meta is getting better for it, and I mean something we're going to talk about anyways. We may as well mention right now. I feel like one of the big things holding back Terra box was every Dragon Ball player playing on Fair Stamp was kind of tough to deal with, but we started to see some builds of Dragapult start to shift back to the Crystal and the Neo Upper energy.
Yeah.
Seville, the second place list from Pedro, played it. And for these Dragapults to compete with some of these faster decks, like the Joltik box, like the Raging Bolt, they might have to go back to more rare candy, sparkling crystals, Neo Upper potentially, and that creates an opportunity for Terra Box. I think the meta has been steadily getting better for Terra Box after its kind of I don't know, bad showing at Atlanta where everyone's kind of teched out for it, we're kind of seeing
Mhm.
things come back around, and I could see it start to be a pretty good play.
As you scroll down here, you'll find some of these lists that are playing other A specs, but
Most of it's
every
unfair
single one
still.
of the players in Top Cut is still playing unfair stamps. 7 Dragapults in Top Cut.
Yeah. Which is let's take a look at the conversions real fast, but then yeah, maybe just get into the top cut list from there. And then click on day one at the top, and then the variant pairing on. There we go. So yeah, we can take a look at the conversion rates here. And like by the numbers for anyone who's curious and hasn't looked at these numbers before, 17% is about the average. So like 15 and below is bad, 20 and above or 19 and above is like above average. So that's like pretty good. So like the decks to like look out here specifically, I would say is like Joltik Box and the Roaring Moon. 23% conversion rate for Joltik Box, 35 conversion rate for the Roaring Moon. Like those are some pretty good numbers to take a look at there for sure. And then also sample size gets involved at some point. There are some 100% conversion rate decks here, but it's like one person playing Gouching Fire. So we're not going to put too much weight into that result, obviously.
It doesn't mean if you wanna make day 2, you should 100% play slacking.
Yeah. Well, but maybe it does, you know? If 100% of the tournament plays slacking and it has 100% conversion rate, we broke the system. Everyone's in day 2.
There you go, that's what it is.
Yeah, at a certain point, once the number gets low enough in terms of people playing the deck, the conversion rate doesn't matter as much. Um, But, I mean, nothing too crazy in the top cut, I feel like overall. A lot of Dragapult, which isn't a surprise. I guess maybe the biggest standout to me besides I don't even say like Raging Bolt's actually that big of a standout, was there was 2 Zoroarks in cut. There's 3 in top 16 total. Yeah, there's only 2 in top cut. But Zoroark continues to make waves here.
Yeah, and Zoark doing pretty well. I do wanna correct myself real quick because I did fact check myself. I was looking at some of these limitless pages, and that's kind of where some of these, uh, stats ran together, but, Christian did not win ICs in juniors and seniors. I was mixing it up with some of the other limitless pages I had been looking at for some of these other young players. Yeah. And one of the things I said whenever this top cut came out is like, dude, the average age of this top cut has to be like 16 years old. Like there's so many super young players in here. One big standout to me was Evan Pavelski, who's a first year master whose name we have not seen at all this year because he is the senior division world champion. He has his world's invite. He has not played a single tournament at all this entire year, but he's local to Wisconsin, shows up to this tournament, gets top 8. That's pretty sick. His first ever regional championship as a Masters division player and as the
As
defending senior world champion.
right, and does it with the Zoroark, the Cyrano Zoroark, which I think maybe this top 16 list wasn't a Cyrano build, but has kind of become like the well, I wouldn't want to say that for sure. There's been like Zorak has had success with quite a few different builds over in Seville last weekend. It was a prime catcher build with research. This build is secret box with Cyrano. It does feel like this is the build I would expect people to start to gravitate to. I guess I would say that. In terms of success, this isn't like wildly more successful than other builds of Zorak, but I think we're gonna start to see people start to gravitate towards this build, the Cyrano secret box.
Yeah, and there's a pretty cool card in here, the Bombardier EX. This is a card that's not really seen much play at all. It's been out for almost 2 years now. I don't think has ever seen competitive success, but its attack is like not bad. If you go first, you can use it during your first turn to search deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. And if you can, get this guy out turn 1, there's a few ways to get into it with the Inn's Castle. You've got a couple of free retreat baby Pokemon in the deck just naturally as well. So you can get into Bombardier to set up for a turn 2 Cyrano into Zoroark and to start, getting your trade engine going. But also, it is an answer to Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which is like a one card kind of counter to the general Zoroark strategy. You don't have a great way to deal with it besides In's Darmanitan, which doesn't even 2-hit KO it unless you get Defiance Band in the mix.
Yeah, so instead of relying on like, and the thing with the cornerstone with lining it up with the Darmanitan is like they can take a ton of time to kind of set up for that, and it's hard for you to find like back to back reversals plus the Defiance or the Black Belt combo. So yeah, the
Yeah,
Bombardier is like a nice answer, and it's more so there. I think it's definitely more so in the deck as an answer to Cornerstone. Like the fast carrier is like pretty hard to pull off. Like if turn one going first, you're like never finding this thing because you don't play Ultra Ball in this build. So
sure.
it's like a turn one going second though. Like you said, yeah, there's 2 Ends Castle, there's 2 baby Pokemon you could start with. So if you don't open up often, but you open like Cyrano can also find Bombardier plus 2 Zoroark. So you can go like if you open Cleffa, Cyrano for Bombardier, get 2 Zoroark EX, Dark Energy to Bombardier, retreat into it, get your Zeruas, and then you have the evolutions for them on the next turn, which can be kind of cool. But it also gives you that answer to the cornerstone super conveniently, which is nice as well. And yeah, like the other big standout card I feel like in the deck is the Black Belts training. We don't see that very often. And also Cleffa has made its way into like quite a few, not just Zoroark decks, but more decks in general. Cleffa's back. And you know what there's a lack of recently, Chip, in the format?
Are we going back to our Pidgeot versus Cleffa debate right now?
There's a lack of Pidgeot EX going on, but Cleffa kind of on the come up.
Hmm.
Cleffa constantly in the format out here.
I remember you being kind of quiet about this little debate whenever Pidgeot Control was like really popular a couple months ago. So
Although I'm not gonna with that though as well. I've been like adding Pidgeot to more and more decks recently, and just thinking about it, I think Pidgeot's like underplayed right now. I think there's a lot more room to put Pidgeot in decks
for sure.
than it's being played. So
Could definitely see it. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing holding Pidgeot back right now, I mean, it's kind of two things. Badoo, right? Making it harder to get into it quickly. And then also Dragapult being able to KO Pidgey. Like there are a couple of pieces that make it a little difficult for Pidgeot to get set up as a support engine. I do think another interesting deck to talk about here in Top Cut would definitely be Ian Rob's Flareon deck. Now we've seen this a good bit now at this point. He does play the two Sylveon EX, which is like when people first were playing this deck, we basically only saw one Sylveon. It's kind of just like a tech, but now it's kind of become a main part of the deck, a main strategy. Um, but yeah, very cool deck. This would have been a cool one. This would have been a really cool deck to see like take the whole thing down. I think.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like the only major flaw with this deck is that it does have a really bad Guardy matchup. But like besides that, like you have a good Dragapult matchup, you have a really good Golden Go matchup, which are currently the top two most played decks. Of course, Golden Go success is always going to be a little bit more questionable than Gardevoir success, even though it's played more. But yeah, it's a pretty powerful deck right now. But you are really hoping to dodge Gardevoir, which doesn't feel like a good deck to hope to dodge with how much success. Like Gardevoir has won like
Yeah.
3 or 4 events in a row right now, so it doesn't feel good.
Not
And
anymore. Not anymore.
not anymore. And Ian Robb is like trying to win these tournaments, right? Like he is someone who's like he's not content with top cut. Although I do think this is like a pretty good pick still to make top cut. Because you have like a decent matchup spread outside of that Gardevoir matchup, but all you have to do is hit one of the Gardevoir players who's running well, playing well that day, and then you're gonna be in trouble. But besides that, Flareon's like really solid right now, I feel like.
So yeah, those are I think there's nothing super crazy to look at, I would say, for most of these Dragapult lists in cut. Makani Tran gets a second place finish here. We're seeing more Brock scouting in a lot of these decks. We're seeing Genesect and Monkey Dory be played a lot. John, I think, played no Monkey Dory, but did
No.
play the double Luminous, right? So that was kind of a one interesting thing. But yeah, other than that, I think most of the Dragapult lists here are kind of what we've come to expect from the deck, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like nothing. I mean, there is the innovations. There's like the little things.
We're
Now
seeing a lot
you,
more experience share, it feels like.
yeah. There's a Pokemon League HQ in Julio's list, right? So that was cool. I think that was like a pretty um innovative, ahead of its time tech card. I think we'll start to maybe probably see more League HQs moving forward to help against Raging Bolt and the Joltik box. So I think definitely ahead of the meta here is Julio with the League HQ inclusion for sure. And we'll probably see that catch on a little bit more moving forward.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other thing I was going to mention, and was it in the go to the top 16 again? One more. No, maybe they didn't even make cut. I thought they made cut. I was going to mention Jones's list.
Oh, yeah, right here
Did
with the
include it did include a 1-1-1 Pidgeot line, and I don't know. I think Pidgeot's pretty good. I mean, we could see Dragapult Pidgeot maybe make a comeback. Um, Decks need to be now, I'm not gonna say like I mean, it feels weird to call this faster, but like when you look at some of the cards in here, like one of the things that we saw like Labella be able to take advantage of against Makani, against Julio, was just the decks are so slow. The Dragapult lists are so like the format is just so slow. Like Dragapult slows things down, but Raging Ball kind of doesn't care. Joltik Box kind of doesn't care. The tools that Dragapult has to slow the game down, which is basically just Badoo, Joltik Box doesn't really care about. Raging Bolt doesn't really care about. So I think we're gonna have to see the tempo of these Dragapult decks kind of step up a little bit, and including stuff like the Crispin, like the Candy, even having something like Pidgeot in your deck that you can constantly use as support throughout the game. I feel like is good as well. It's like another target that they want to go after, right? It's like, well, now do I KO
yeah.
their Dracloak or do I KO their Pidgey with the baby bolt? So
And
Um,
the more turns that games last, like the longer games take, the more value you get from quick search, right? It's
yeah,
a once
yeah.
per turn ability. It's not like some abilities like, like a Excalibur where you can use it a zillion times or Gardevoir, you can use it as many times as you want. The longer games go on, the more valuable quick search becomes. So it makes total sense in a Dragapult deck right now for sure.
Yeah, so that's definitely like a very. I think that's a question that Dragon Ball players need to find an answer to because I think Raging Ball's gonna get more popular. It's kind of weird though because like the one thing to go with that is like it's also like well Joltik Box is also really popular. It's like man Dragon Ball's kind of in a bad spot, but Raging Ball has a really good Joltik Box matchup. So I think only one of them is going to be like truly prevalent at a time. Right now, we're kind of like an in between where Joltik was on the rise, Raging Ball was on the downturn. Now I think it's going to switch the other way around. Raging Ball's going to be on the uptick. Joltik Box is going to come back a little bit. But I think Dragon Ball players in general need to find an answer for this faster metagame. I think Gardevoir is kind of fine. Like Gardevoir is one of like those like slower decks. I think Brent Tonneson tweeted out after the tournament. Like, apparently, I can't find rare candy or something like that against Labella. Of course, that can be remedied by just playing more rare candy. So, like, maybe we'll see Gardevoir players also respond in that way, just playing a more aggressive list. Something we saw actually over at Champions League is people are going back to Arvin and TM Evos, which is definitely like a more consistent way to get to your Gardevoirs. I feel like by turn three.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to be upset about not being able to find rare candy when you play three ways to find rare candy in your deck. The
Yeah,
two candy and the one secret box. Like it doesn't
it's
seem
not a ton of
unreasonable
votes.
to whiff.
But if you're activating Fez each turn as well, right? You are
You
playing the
see a
heavy
lot
draw
of
supporter.
cards.
Yeah, you see a decent amount for sure. But yeah, that could be something we see. Like, I'm not like, I think the Brent 60, the current Brent 60 is pretty good. I'm sure your Raging Ball matchup is fine. Your Joltik Box matchup is fine. But if the meta becomes faster, you probably want to still up your tempo a little bit as well, even if you don't feel terrible about the matchup. So I could see some Guardy lists adding more TM Evos, adding more Rare Candy, stuff like that.
Now, there's a couple more interesting lists here in the top 32 I wanted to take a look at. First off, here is 17th place from Aiden Koos, which is Roaring Moon to Dunsparce. We saw this deck a couple weekends ago. Aiden kind of adds a little bit to it here. I think adding in the Coridon and the Iron Bundle, those are differences that we didn't see in the
Yeah.
Monterey. Was it Monterey list? I think so, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
One less Mooney X, only one Mooney X in here. And this it's basically just minus Mooney X, minus Buddy Poffin for Iron Bundle and the Coridon.
yeah.
Those are
And
the
looking at
changes.
the games here, yeah, it's so crazy. 9-2-1 is just not enough to make cut. Um, but yeah, loses to a Gardevoir, loses to a Dragapult, ties another Dragapult.
Yeah. Very close. Need to turn that tie into a win, or someone else we could win out in one of those losses. But yeah, it is pretty. Yeah, I mean the goal's got to be what X and two, right? The goal has to be X and two. I guess X 1 2 did
X1,
make
2.
asymmetrical cut, but it wasn't like I don't think it was like guaranteed for sure until the tournament actually played out, and then it
Yeah.
definitely was. Um, yeah, for anyone who's curious, there it was a top 14 asymmetrical cut here.
Yeah, one of the bigger cuts we've seen,
Yeah,
besides what's the one you won? What's it called?
Merida.
Merida. Yeah, Merida had 16 players, right?
It had a lot. Maybe it was 15. I don't know if
Oh,
we had the
maybe it
clean
was 15
16.
actually.
I think it was close. I think you are right. We can go fact checked.
14. Okay, so
14.
it's the
Okay.
same. Okay, so this
So
is
this is the biggest. 14 is the biggest we've had, I think, then so far.
for some reason I thought it was 16. I don't know
We have
why.
not we have not broken into the potential top 32 bracket that can happen. I don't know if we'll ever get there.
Probably not. Probably not. But then a couple other lists that I think would be worth talking about. We've got Joey Gata's Ceruledge EX deck with the Revavroom. So this is pretty interesting. You don't have Radiant Greninja anymore to get those energies in the discard
Yeah.
pile consistently throughout the game. But we've got Radiant Greninja at home, the Revavroom, something you might be worried about getting stuck to retreat. He's a little thick, but the 4 jet energy can kind of, mitigate that a little bit. Yeah, this list is pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually played with this a little bit on my stream the other day. The one thing that came up is it was a little bit hard to find basics. There's only one Buddy Poffin and two Nest Balls alongside the four Ultras, so that was an adjustment. I think I ended up adding like another Poffin or something, but honestly, it didn't feel bad. The Joltik box matchup I hit a couple times that felt tough. But besides that, you can keep up with Dragapult. You can keep up with Gardevoir for the most part. Gardevoir isn't as consistent as it once was, and like being able to combat. It doesn't feel like Gardevoir just beats two prize decks like it used to. But so then the Briar's really nice for that matchup, of course, as well. So yeah, I don't know. So there could be something there for Sarah Ledge, especially if we start to see the downtick in the Joltik box because the Pikachu is just kind of it's tough. The ability's pretty good, so there might be something here for Sarah Ledge. Honestly, it's like there, it feels like there's still like a lot of potential for a lot of decks. The power level of the meta overall is just so much lower than it was pre-rotation that a lot of decks can kind of get in there and feel like they're pretty competitive. They're not at the top of the food chain, but they're not terrible.
And then I think the craziest deck list that I looked at from the tournament has to be John
Yeah.
Roberts II's top 32 Charizard list. And we saw this on stream. He actually lost the win and in to Ryan Antonucci in the Dragapult matchup. The first Dragapult he played against throughout the whole tournament. Oh, no, sorry, that's not right. He did play another one in round 8. But um, yeah, there's a couple cool things here. First off, cool to see John Roberts' name. He is the 2012 U.S. national champion, but has not played. I think I saw on Twitter he said that he has not played since 2018 Worlds. So after a pretty long hiatus, comes back to the game. And anyone who was playing back then will know that, yeah, he's very well known for not kind of he kind of does
Conforming.
his own thing,
Yeah,
right? He
yeah.
doesn't base his deck lists off of what's doing well or what other people are playing. He kind of just thinks about what he feels like is good and does that, right? And that's what we see here with the longer you look at this list, the crazier it gets. There's a 4-4-2 Dusknoir line in here. There's two Chi Yu. The couple of Poke here. There's 7 fire energy. That's a lot of fire energy. Yeah, this and that one energy search as well. This list is wild.
Yeah, it's a trolley build with the A spec, of course. So you're looking for that turn one with Arvin. TM Evo build, usually not great with Charizard, but there is like a higher fire energy count in this build of Charizard than most. Actually, not even really. It's like +1. Most builds are like 5 fire and like a mist or something. The double Chi U is interesting. I mean, I imagine that's like heavily for the Golden Go matchup, more so than anything, but I'm sure it comes up in other situations. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy deck here for sure. It's just basically all Charizard. I mean, it is all Charizard Dusknoir and no support Pokemon, no Fez, no
Yep.
Pidgeot,
Nope.
no Squawkabilly,
Who needs
nothing.
them? Not
I guess
John
you don't. Yeah,
Roberts.
yeah. I guess not. So yeah, definitely a pretty wild build. No recovery as well. No Nitrate or no Super Rod. Which I kind of do like the idea of just playing a fire energy that you need to attack with your attackers. I kind of actually don't hate. I don't dislike that. And you have such thick lines of everything. You don't really need to recover your Pokemon throughout the
You,
game too aggressively.
you got recovery right here, buddy. Flare
Yeah,
bringer.
true.
Get him back.
Get him with the Flare Bringer on the Chi. I don't know. We actually saw that come up at Champions League. One of the games, Flare Bringer did happen. It
Did
happened.
it win the Charizard player of the game?
They were in a pretty good spot. I think they were gonna win no matter what, but the Flarebringer kind of put it over the top. Yeah, they got confused by a Monkey Dory, and they were like, "All right, I'll
Oh,
retreat
sure,
in
sure, sure.
Flarebringer. You didn't do anything on your turn, and I'm still ahead. So Flarebringer, Charizard's reset up. Avoid the confusion.
But yeah, those are kind of the big standout decks from the Milwaukee Regional Championships. Congrats again to Christian on his very well deserved win. And yeah, let's recap our predictions from this weekend. The first one was, how many times would Badoo attack in the finals? Azul predicted 5. I predicted 14. I was like, you know what? We're going to see a Dragapult versus Gardevoir mirror match again. It's going to be a Badoo war. And when Raging Bolt is in the finals, I'm kind of surprised that we saw Badoo attack as many times as it did, because the answer was an actual of 18, or sorry, eight Badoo
It
attacks
was
in the
8.
finals.
I counted it up. It was like 8 or 9, so I might be off by 1, but it wasn't close. It was definitely far away from 5 or 14. So yeah, neither of us were able to pull that one off.
We'll split the difference there. Next prediction was, what would the meta share be for Joltig Box in day one? And it's a deck I think we were both expecting to continue to increase in popularity, but I don't know that we would have
Pretty
thought
big
that it would have
spike.
gotten to this point as quickly as it did. You predicted 7. I said 6, and the actual was 11.75% day one.
Yeah, we would have been closer if we had put our numbers together in
Yeah.
in this one.
That's pretty wild, to be honest. And now I guess the question will be, where does it go from here? Does it continue to hold around that mark? Will it increase? Will it decrease? It probably is going to be right around there, I would say, at like the next few major tournaments.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's gonna increase. Like, I don't think it's gonna break 12. It's gonna come down if anything for sure.
Yeah. And then finally, we did pick a player to make cut. Azul went with kind of a wild call here. Henry Brand to randomly spawn into the Milwaukee Regional Championships, since he is the defending Milwaukee Regional Champion, and he did not make the trip out. I thought about it a little bit more after we recorded last week. The reason I'm pretty sure that Henry went to Milwaukee is because it was the week before
Yeah,
NAIC.
yeah. No, I know. Yeah, it was like the week before. Well, I think it was like he went to like 2 tournaments at the end of the season there even. But yeah, yeah. It was a little bit more convenient to make the trip out that time. But I don't know, maybe he was just trying to defend his title. There's not that many tournaments over in Australia. Maybe he's getting the itch to play, you know. It
And
makes sense. Not this time though.
you picked Henry Brand. I picked Grant Manley, and Grant did make make day 2 at the tournament, but he was only able to come away at 101st place. So honestly, maybe we give you the win here, because Henry and Grant accomplished the same thing basically.
Yeah.
And Grant went to the tournament, and Henry did not.
Yeah, that's a dub for Henry Brand in my book. We'll take those.
But yeah, any final thoughts on Milwaukee?
No, yeah, I mean, more Pokemon. We're seeing more innovation still. Other decks do still like succeeding and doing well. Like the two shoutouts for sure, are, like Raging Bolt and Zoroark. I think Zoroark's continuing. It's kind of like slightly under the radar success. It still keeps making cut, but it hasn't like won the tournament or made the finals yet. And I don't see a reason for it not to continue. Because even I don't even think like the Raging Bolt matchup was like that bad for the deck. I think it's like unfavorable, but the Darmanitans kind of get in there, pick apart Ogrepons, take away your Hootuts and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely winnable. So I think we could continue to see that success from Zoroark. And yeah, I'm just kind of excited for we've got like a week off, like you mentioned, but we'll get back into it with Utrecht
Yep.
and the Thailand Master Ball League. Of course, we'll see the results from Santiago and Melbourne as well, but they won't be streamed, unfortunately, probably. So, yeah, I'm just excited. We'll get a week off, which I guess like that might lead to more shifting in the meta. It's kind of like a 2-week break between now and the next tournaments. Um, so things could get a little wild. It gives more time for people to kind of innovate and shake things up based on what we've seen. So yeah, I'm just excited for the future weekends of Pokemon.
And now let's get into guess that flavor text. But of course, before we do, we got to take a moment to thank our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy podcast. Dragon Shield makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming products on the market. We love them for their sleeves. They have binders and deck boxes and all sorts of other products as well. We love them, and they are the only sleeves that we use whenever we compete in any level of Pokemon tournaments.
Yeah, big shout out to Dragon Shield as always. For being a sponsor of the podcast. Check them out. DragonShield.com. Link, of course, will be in the description
You're
and
this,
code.
buddy.
What'd you say?
I said you're great at this.
And code UEPod will get you a discount over there as well and directly support us here on the podcast.
That's right. Yep. Use code UEPOD. That's UEPOD. Get yourself 5% off, and then also support us here and help us continue to make the content that we're making, not only here on the podcast channel, but also on our secondary channel as well. And now it is time, of course, for Guess That Flavor Text, the segment where each week Azul or I picks a card, reads the flavor text from it, and has the other host try to guess which Pokemon is featured on that card. You can get 4 points if you don't have to use any of the 3 lifelines that we have available. For each lifeline you use, you lose access to one of those points. The lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name. You can get anywhere from 1 to 4 points. I am currently in the lead, 33 to 29 points. And yeah, it is my turn this week as well to pick a card. And I've got one picked out for Azul. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready, Chip. Hit me with it.
All right. It's said to incinerate everything around it with lightning launched from its fur. Very little is known about this creature.
Lightning launch from its fur. I mean, it could be Manectric, but like, I don't know why so little would be known about Manectric or like Luxray. Give me the flavor text one more time.
It's said to incinerate everything around it with lightning launched from its fur. Very little is known about this creature.
Just kind of yeah, that's kind of like the weird part. Joltik, I guess maybe also fits that description. Galvantula, I guess. Oh, do spiders have or they have hair, right? I think spiders have hair sometimes. I don't know if they have
Joltig's
fur.
a fuzzy little guy,
Yeah, or see a hairy little guy.
a hairy little guy, fuzzy hair, up for interpretation.
um, Pikachu, Raichu, Substrika. I guess I'm gonna have to use some lifelines here. It sounds like it's like more mysterious than maybe it is, but that doesn't help me narrow down which one of these it could be. So let's go with what set the card is from.
It is from Stellar Crown.
Okay, so a more recent set. There's a Joltik in that. Is Joltik in that? I don't remember. Joltik might be in there. All right, give me the flavor text one more time.
It's said to incinerate everything around it with lightning launched from its fur. Very little is known about this creature.
For some reason, I want to say it's Joltik because I think Joltik is like super powerful despite its small size. That's like one of the things about Joltik. Now, if it is the Joltik that's currently legal, I know the attack name, so I could just ask the attack name, and then if it is the attack name, then I would know. I'm just gonna go with what stage the card is, though.
It is a basic.
Well, I don't think I'd be able to guess anything besides Joltik, so I'm just gonna guess Joltik.
Locking it in?
Yeah, sure.
It is not Joltik.
Hmm.
Azul. Let me give you one more lifeline. Let me read you the
Uh-oh.
attack name and see if you can get it.
All right.
Thunderburst Storm.
No, I don't know.
Interesting. What if I told you what the attack did?
Then I would maybe know. Thunderburst, Storm, Basic, Lightning, and not much is known about it.
Well, when did we say it was a lightning Pokemon?
Oh, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I don't know.
This
Bolus?
attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon.
Oh, it's the oh, dude, you're trying to get tricky with this one. The Raging Ball.
Oh!
It's not much known. I guess that makes sense because it's an ancient Pokemon, right? Why would there
Well, it's
wouldn't
like
be
a
much known?
legendary
Yeah.
or like a legendary adjacent. I actually don't know if it's technically classified as a legendary or not. I
I'll
thought
try
you
to
were gonna
track.
get this one, I'm not gonna lie, but you did not get even close to
I
being
just like was kind of locked in on it being a lightning Pokemon. I was like, well, it's a lightning Pokemon,
well,
and then from
Raging Bolt
there,
is
well, yeah,
lightning.
but like a lightning card.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's a lightning card. All right. Manetric, Luxray. What has fur? What?
There's
And
the lightning
yeah,
coming out of its fur.
yeah, yeah, that is true. It does look it could be furry for sure.
Shout
Giraffe style
outs,
Pokemon.
someone DM'd me on Twitter and was like, "You should give Azul the Raging Bolt card as the guess that flavor text this week." So shout outs to that guy.
Dude, what? I got the whole community against me now, bro. What the heck? No, I've definitely done the same thing as well. So people have given me some ones to throw at Chip in the past. So
Yeah.
it's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, no points again this week. I remain behind 4 points, but we'll see next week or week after next if I can finally close the gap.
I have a
Or
feeling
Chip.
there's some people out there who got this one.
Yeah, probably. Especially with the attack name. I don't read attack names though. Like even for like current meta cards, I don't know their attack names. Like I know what the attack does.
Yeah.
The energy cost. I know the effects. The attack names. Yeah, I did not know this was Thunderburst Storm.
Do you know what would be one? Do you know what Gardevoir EX's attack is?
No.
Oh my
Hey, is it
gosh.
like psychic something? No.
Nope,
Oh, I
that's
don't
the
know what it is.
ability.
Oh, the ability Psychic Embrace. Yeah, I don't know the
Psychic
what's the
Embrace
name.
is the ability. The attack is Miracle Force.
Of course. I know it
Mm.
recovers from all special conditions when you. Is that what this one does, or is that the other one?
So you
That is
don't
this
know.
one. No, it is. It recovers itself from special conditions. Yeah,
This Pokemon recovers from all special
yeah.
conditions. What about Monkey Dory's attack? I know you
Mind
know its
bend. Yeah,
ability.
mind bend. Mind
Okay,
bend.
okay,
No, the
okay.
mind bend. Yeah.
Can't get too much past this guy, huh? What about okay, it's fine. We'll move on.
All
We
right.
could that would be
If you
its
have one
own little
more, if you want to do one
quiz
more,
show. One other Pokemon. All right. What about like okay? What would be one that would be embarrassing for you to not know? Like, what is uh? Oh, okay, okay. What is Miraidon EX's first attack or its attack? Its only attack.
abilities tandem unit, the attack.
You won a regionals with this card
Yeah.
like 2 months ago.
Is it photon something? No? That's all I have. That's all I have in my head is photon. Photon cannon?
Photon,
Photon cannon? Photon blast?
photon.
Photon
Oh,
blast?
close, close. He's close.
I don't know what.
Photon blaster.
Oh, I was close. Photon something.
Blaster.
I wasn't even that confident in photon, to be honest. Like I was just like, I think photon. There's something that there's some photon attack in Maridon, I think, or used to be. Still is, I
Well,
guess now.
let's move on to our next topic here, which is the results from the Champions League. Aichi took place this past weekend. The results have been posted up over on Poka Book over in Japan. And yeah, you watched this tournament kind of unfold live, Azul.
Yeah.
So just like talk to us about what were kind of the big takeaways from the tournament overall. Because yes, we'll look at what won, but that's not always like the big takeaway from an event, what deck won necessarily.
Yeah, so from what we could see is um and this is like probably applies to Top Cut a little bit more, but I would say Charizard not only won the tournament, well, it was Charizard Dragapult, but Charizard kind of dominated the tournament. There was definitely a lack of Dragapult. There was still a decent amount of Gardevoir, but there wasn't that much Dragapult besides like Charizard Dragapult, obviously. I think it's a little bit of a different story. Like it's not the same kind of Dragapult that we're used to, right? So a little bit of a lack of Dragapult. I feel like a lot of that has to be because of Psyduck. I feel like Dragapult Dusknoir is what was going around more over there. So the fact that Psyduck's in the format, and who's not familiar with the Psyduck, it's a new card that we might be getting in Destined Rivals, is what I've heard. From what I've gathered, that it's not confirmed that we're getting Psyduck in Destined Rivals. Um, of course, my information is just my chat, so take that with what you will.
So you can't
Um,
trust a thing.
But Psyduck basically says it removes Dusknoir's ability, so you can't use the ability. Same thing with it takes away any ability of a KO a Pokemon that would KO itself, like Magneton,
Yep.
Fortress EX, Dusknoir. So that seems to be having a pretty big impact in terms of pushing Dusknoir out of the metagame, which means one of the best decks for a long time that was held back because Dragon Ball was so popular was Charizard. And I think it seems like Charizard seems pretty decent right now because of that. The lack of Dragapult in the metagame. Why wouldn't you play Charizard again? Because that's really the only thing holding Charizard back is Dragapult. When Dragapult's seemingly the best deck in the format, 20% of the metagame, like we have right now. Like the amount of people who asked me in my chat, hey Azul, why do you think Raging Bolt is so popular over in Japan compared to here? We did see Raging Bolt win in Milwaukee. It's like, well, they're playing in a different format, so it's kind of hard to say for sure. But they're in a completely different format. It's not like we're playing the same metagame and choosing to play different things at extreme popularity differences. It's not like it's like the same format with them having 20% Raging Ball and us having 20% Dragon Ball. We're completely different formats, completely different metas. So I don't know why things are happening the way they are for sure over there. I don't have the strongest read, but I would say one of the biggest things seems to be less Dragapult due to Psyduck, probably, meaning opening for Charizard. Now, Raging Bolt's popularity over there, Raging Bolt was definitely the most popular deck and definitely has been for City Leagues for weeks now. It's like 20% of the meta. I don't know why Raging Bolt is so popular because they also have Shaman over there. And one of the best tools for Raging Bolt is the Baby Bolt, but that is taken away if your opponents play Shaman. Of course, the question is going to be how many people actually play Shaman.
Yeah,
But
and then with the whole Dragapult Dusknoir thing, the thing also becomes how many people actually play the Psyduck.
and the winning list played both, so they came prepared
Yep.
for everything. So yeah, I think it seems like Psyduck is going to do a lot, based on what we saw from Japan, and I hope that maintains, right? Like this could kind of be like I don't know, like kind of like a flash in the pan kind of situation where it's like the initial scare of Psyduck scared everyone off Dragapult Dusknoir, and no one really wanted to play straight Dragapult. Maybe due to its weak Raging Bolt matchup. So Raging Bolt was like, well, if no one's playing Dragon Ball Dusknoir, I mean, this is the perfect time to play Raging Bolt. Or maybe Raging Bolt should always just have been more popular than what we kind of had over here. And maybe Japan just kind of finally discovered, oh, wait, Raging Bolt just is this good. And even for past formats, like the format we're in now, Raging Bolt maybe should be more popular. So, but yeah, I hope Psyduck has that impact, continues to have that impact, and kind of keeps Dragapult Dusknoir at bay, so we have more opportunities for more decks to get in the mix, like Charizard coming back in there. And like I said, definitely the most dominant deck at the tournament. There was 3 Charizard decks in top 4, all different variants, and Charizard Dragapult just took it all down.
Yeah, and s- talking about like cards they have that we don't have. You mentioned the Psyduck, you mentioned the Shaman, but they also in this build played 2 copies of the Rocket's Watchtower, which turns off the ability of all colorless Pokemon in play. So really targeting things like the Noctowl, which remains popular, like the Pidgeot, which other Charizard decks were playing. And we see here, out of this top 4, the deck either played the Rocket's Watchtower or it was hurt badly by the Rocket's Watchtower.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, maybe at the end of the day, it's less of a Charizard deck, more of an anti-ability deck with the Psyduck, with the Watchtower. They're trying to shut it all down. But that is a good point to make. Yeah, a lot of decks had the Watchtower, or were playing things that hurt. They get hurt by the Watchtower for
Yeah.
sure. Um, not too much to say about the second place Raging Bolt list, but Raging Bolt did get second,
The
but
Iron
nothing
Leaves in here
crazy.
is pretty
Yeah.
interesting to me. That's not something we've really ever seen much of in Raging Bolts.
I feel like it's mostly just as like I want to play a Switch card, but I don't want to play a Switch. I think the Iron Leaves is better, which kind of maybe makes a little bit of sense if Charizard is so popular because it can one hit KO a Charizard and also can like do we can be like a cheesy turn one attacker as well.
Sure.
So you
Okay.
have that. So it can like it's basically it's a Switch card. You can use different energy types besides just grass to one hit KO a Charizard and you can turn one attack with it. Like if you just draw like that double pawn into into the Iron Leaves, I almost said Verzian. So those got to be like the main reasons I would assume that it's being played. And we see like there's only two Raging Bolts in that list because they have the Iron Leaves as like an attacker against Charizard.
And then the other two top four decks, we do have Charizard, but they're pretty different here. So we have this build, which has Terapagos, and it also has a 4/4 Noctowl line, and then that thin 101 Dusknoir kind of reminds me of that Terapagos deck that Isaiah Bradner played, right, with this thin Dusknoir line,
Yeah.
but it just also has a Charizard jammed in here additionally. And then this one is more standard, more similar to what I think would be used to with a Charizard deck, with a thicker Dusknoir line, and it does have the Shaman in here.
I mean that list right there is basically what Charizard was before it got pushed out of the metagame by
Right.
Dragapult, right? Like this is like pretty close to it. Of course, you have new cards in here like the Badoo and the Shaman and stuff like that, but it's Charizard, Pidgeot, Dusknoir. That's it. That's the deck. It is curious to see like there wasn't that much actually Psyduck, and we're not seeing that much Psyduck deck to deck here. Like I said, the list in the finals had it, or the deck that won did play it, but not everyone is bringing Psyduck. But I think
No
yeah, you
one
do have
else in Top
Psyduck.
Cut had it.
Yeah, and Charizard was the dominant deck, but I feel like the big deck to come out of the tournament because Charizard's been around for a while is
It's
the Grim. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say is the Grimmsnarl, which we weren't completely unaware of this deck, but it really hadn't seen a ton of success. It was popping up at city leagues, winning some city leagues. We
Hasn't this
saw it
card
on
been out for a long time now, or did it come out
yeah,
in?
no, it's been out for a while. We saw it at the last Champions League, not this one, but the one before. We
Mhm.
saw it on stream, but hasn't had like the big success yet. And I don't know. Once again, they're in a different format. Their metagame's different. I don't know what Grimmsnarl's matchup spread looks like. So maybe it has gotten better. Dragapult being pushed out of the meta might be like a +4 Grimmsnarl. But there was 4 Grimmsnarl decks in top 16, right? 4 of them. And I know there was a group of pretty good players playing it. That talk was going on in my chat, and these lists looked like they were basically all the same. So I think all these players were in cahoots, which is a pretty successful run for the group. Then,
Yeah, I think 3 of the 4 are the same 60, and then the only other difference is one of the players played 1 Badoo instead of 2 Badoo and a Maractus instead, which I actually kinda like the idea of the Maractus. Maractus is
yeah,
kind of just good in these, like, Frostlass decks in general, just give you more time to build up more damage, right? Maractus
yeah.
is kind of just a good card right now, like, period, honestly.
Yeah, for anyone who's unaware about the Grimmsnarl, it's got 320 HP, stage 2 for 2 dark energy. It does 180 damage and 30/20 your opponent's bench, but its ability is what makes it so good. Now you don't actually fully utilize its ability. To be honest, I don't think I saw anyone search out 5 energy with its ability. But its ability, when you evolve it into play, searches your deck for up to 5 basic dark energy, and you attach them to your Marnie's Pokemon in any way you like. The only Marnie's Pokemon you play is Grimmsnarl EX, and it attacks for 2 energy. And this deck also plays Frostlass to spread damage to Pokemon with abilities and Monkey Dories. So you need to save some of your dark energy for your Monkey Dories. So I don't think I ever saw anyone accelerate 5 energy into play, but you theoretically could to set up all of your Grimmsnarls, thin out your deck. And there also is like the new powerful Spikemuth Stadium that literally just says search your deck for a Marnie's card. So that's pretty powerful in here as well. But yeah, this performance from the deck was very impressive. Even if it was seemingly mostly pushed through like one group of players. I mean, even with that, I'm excited to see what Grimmsnarl kind of does in the future because it seems like it's a deck here to stay for sure. I think we're going to see Grimmsnarl hanging around in the metagame uh, w- at least until the next set drops. It seems like it'll be able to compete.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that we haven't seen in the game for a long time. I think it's something that you and your testing group back in like the 2018-19 timeframe were very well known for doing, taking a deck that nobody really knew much of anything about and refining it, optimizing it, and picking the right event to bring it to, and just having multiple people from the same testing group being in Top Cut. Very difficult to do at any level of the game, at anywhere in the world, but I would say especially at a 5,000 person tournament. Like that is like maybe one of the most successful tournament runs of like a testing group that we've ever seen, like in the game. Period.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, this might be because it's also best of one. Like the variants are just higher, so I would argue this is maybe the most impressive run when we're talking about that kind of achievement. Like just like group of players playing the same 60, multiple in top cut. Here we're seeing four in top 16, or we're kind of assuming, of course. But if there's three people with the exact same 60, I don't know. It's a pretty good guess. One player plays one card different. I think it probably is players from the same group. So that's like a really, really impressive feat. In a 5,000 person tournament, you had to go in 15 rounds. You had to go 13 and 2. One person at 12 and 3 made top cut. I don't know if it was one of the Grimmsnarl players, but then four of them in cut in a best of one format. Like, yeah, this might be the most insane group result that we've actually ever seen in the Pokemon TCG. I can't think of anything actually more impressive. Even going back to like you said, like the DDGJs when it was like me and my and the group I was part of. Um, I think this is probably that's definitely more impressive than anything we did ever. I don't. I think.
The oldest entry for a city league for this card is back in February 23rd. So I have to imagine that's around the time that this card came out. So that's pretty wild as
2
well
months in a
for a
week.
card. Yeah, for a card to be months removed from its release to like that's when it has its breakout performance. So yeah, that's super sick for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. Well, one of those things to go with that though is they've only had 2 majors. The first major we saw it on stream. It seemed like people are aware of it, and it like usually it would be like, oh, but now the European tournament happens. Now the American tournament happens, and then it picks up steam and it gets big. It's like, oh, it is a deck. But now it's just like we saw it once on stream over in Japan. I have no idea how popular it was, and then 2 month wait till the next Champions League. No one else has access to the card.
Right. It
Let's
came
see
out
what
in a
they
starter
with.
deck in Japan. It wasn't
Yeah,
a part of their set. And anytime an exclusive card, like I mean, we saw what happened with Blaziken, right? That's a card that came out in a starter deck. We didn't have it for 6 months when Japan had that card. And we're
yeah,
kind of having this a similar thing here with the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. It's going to be 4 months after that card's release that we finally get it.
yeah, yeah. Which is like a super unfortunate about like the reschedule of release schedule of products. To be honest, like those kind of cards, it would be nice if they kind of kept up with those in terms of that. Now, I believe we're getting Marnie's Grimmsnarl and Steven's Metagross. Steven's Metagross still has no results from what I've seen, even in city leagues.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we get those on the 16th, so that's next Friday.
Well, so
In
they come
they're not
out.
legal though
Yeah.
until Destined Rivals, I think. Like yeah, we'll get them in like a deck form before Destined Rivals, but yeah, my understanding is that they're not gonna be legal until Destined Rivals is legal. So it's not gonna be legal until NAIC, the Grimmsnarl and the Metagross. And if they were legal before that, it would only be legal for the Bologna special event at the end of the month would be the only major tournament that they'd actually be legal for in a TPCI rating zone. Yeah,
Yes, they are
these
set to come out May 16th, 10 days from now. Um, But yeah, should not, because I believe from what we've seen, like these cards will be numbered as cards from Destined Rivals. So they're not going to be promo cards. So normally a card is legal 2 weeks after its release in the Pokemon TCG. So these promo cards will be legal for the Bologna special events, but Steven's Metagross and Marnie's Grimmsnarl, assuming that they are labeled as cards from Destined Rivals, even though Destined Rival doesn't come out until much later, they will not be legal until 2 weeks after the Destined Rivals release date.
yeah, I
Those-
don't know how confident when you read the thing in the rule book, it sounds like it could be interpreted either way, to be honest. So I'm not confident in that. And if someone else knows different, let us know in the comment section. I don't know how confident you are though, Chip. If it should not be legal until Destined Rivals is legal for tournament play. So basically NAIC is when everything would be legal.
I would assume that the intention would be that these would not be legal until the set is legal.
Yeah, I have no clue. But when you
Yeah,
read
I
the little
know.
blurb in the rule book, it makes it seem that it could be interpreted either way. Like I could definitely see someone tell me it's one way or the other, and then explain why, and I'd be like, okay, that makes sense based on the wording. But
And it may take like an actual statement from Pokemon about the card's legality.
yeah, we might
Uh,
have to wait out on that.
So maybe that's something that they should do. We'll see. But let's get back to Champions League Aichi. There were a few more Raging Bolts here in the top cut, but then the other decks that we see in top cut that we haven't talked about yet, there's a couple Gardevoir and a couple Flareons.
Yeah, and then all the way at the 16th place, there was the walls, the Farigiraf walls, showing up again. It showed up, oh, not last Champions League, but the one before that. Dude, I'm losing track. There's too many Pokemon tournaments.
It was two
Um,
Champions Leagues ago.
yeah, 2 Champions Leagues ago. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, Fukuoka. There was a lot of walls in cut. Walls has like been nowhere in the metagame post Fukuoka. And it does pop here for the top 16, but I don't really think this means much. I'm not gonna lie. I think walls is not it doesn't really have a place in the metagame right now. I guess maybe with Dragapult getting pushed out, maybe there's something there because of, it probably can take advantage of Charizard. It probably has a better Charizard matchup than Dragapult with their Saluna matchup. So
There's a Super Potion in this deck.
yeah, there is.
I don't know when the last time has Super Potion ever been played in anything ever.
Well, it just came out like a set ago, right? Or 2 sets ago?
No, Super Potion's been a card for a long time, buddy.
Oh, it just got reprinted recently.
Yeah, reprinted, but like
No,
I
no,
mean,
I think
even
it wasn't legal until this reprint, or am I
it's been a card. There
oh,
was a
you're talking about in, like,
XY
you're talking about, like, in the
in the
history of
history
the
of the
card.
game ever.
Okay,
I don't think this card has
uh,
ever been played competitively.
for some reason, I think well, hang on, look, can't you just pull up the results here for Super Potion?
Oh, okay. We had two finishes from
There
two
you
Primal
go.
Groudon expanded decks. Okay,
Shout out.
sure.
There we go. No, that's what I was saying, yeah, I was thinking, like, no, I didn't think it was in here. I was like, was it ever in, like, a Mega Guardy deck to, like, heal more? But apparently not. Yeah, it was in Primal Groudon. Travis Nunless and Caleb Gettimer both played it way back.
Oh my gosh.
And was that? I wonder if older. I don't know. Like the what other? When was it first printed? It was printed a long time ago. It's like base set,
Oh,
right? Or
base
base
set.
set?
Yeah, it's a base set card, and it
Yeah.
was not good in base set.
Okay. Did it heal 60 still? Oh,
It
healed
healed
4 back in the
40.
day. That's a lot back then. What the heck?
Yeah, but discarding an energy was pretty bad whenever your opponent could just play super energy removal
Yeah.
or energy removal as well. So like you
Dude,
didn't want to
Super
discard your own
Potion.
energy because they were going to be discarding yours for you.
I feel like Super Potion has not scaled very well with the times. Actually, it's one thing I talked about recently on my stream because like I feel like when you look at cards like Ho-Oh EX, where it says heal 50 from all your Pokemon, or like the Leafeon EX, where it says heal 100 damage from all your bench Pokemon, I feel like that kind of healing should have probably been in the game sooner. It's still not that good, but I feel like that kind of aspect of the game is actually catching up with like the power level of everything else. Like the healing aspect of the game, I feel like has been underpowered in the Pokemon TCG for a while. But these attacks, like on Leafeon and on Ho-Oh EX, neither of these cards are like ridiculously good. Like Leafeon is maybe good because of the Grimmsnarl and how well it matches up into Grimmsnarl in the future in the EV box. But I feel like it just in the game in general, these things are actually catching up with the amount of damage and HP stuff has. Now healing, like this healing attack on Leafeon, 100 from each of your bench Pokemon, that's a lot of like potential heal. We haven't seen attacks like this. I feel like ever and with those numbers. So I mean, it's just kind of cool to see them like catch up with other aspects of the game and get them all kind of on the same power level, so more strategies can kind of be implemented.
But yeah, anything to mention about the Gardevoir or Flareon lists here that stood out to you? Obviously, Gardevoir, kind of some of the differences they have access to Shaman, we don't. And I think one of these lists actually played the Rockets Petrol. Is that right? This
We
one,
saw,
yeah.
yeah, one of them had a Lily's Clefairy. I mean, the big thing to look at them and look how they all have a ton of Arvins. Like this one has Petrol too. We're finding that TM Evo. We're not whiffing. But yeah, Arvin. There was a lot of Arvins. So you see 333 Gardevoir lines. Like the Gardevoir list over there are definitely being built
No
different.
Badoo.
Yeah, no Badoo. They're going through TM Evo now. They're just like, nope, I don't care. TM Evo. So that's definitely the difference with the Gardevoir list. They all seem to be not. It's like obviously it's like an innovation to like adapt with where they are in the metagame and the format. But it's almost like we're kind of going backwards, right? TM Evo is what we were doing before rotation. After rotation, things kind of felt like they changed. But now it feels like we're maybe just going back to like, you know what? I could play research and hope to find Candy Guardy, or what if I just Arvin and got two Curlies in play? You know, I kind of chilled, I kind of hung out for a little bit. You know, I'm not trying to rush. I'm not trying to rush things here. You know,
This list has
so
double Screamtail too. No Drifloon.
I don't know about that. Well,
No,
did it have
no,
Bravery
no
Charms?
Bravery Charm. Or no,
Yeah.
two
Okay.
Bravery
Okay.
Charms. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That always feels weird to see is like no like if you're playing Brave Retards, I feel like Drifloon just kind of makes too much sense. But if like Golden Go and Archaladon aren't around, then maybe not necessary. I think there was a TM Devo in there, and that can be your Charizard matchup.
Sure. But yeah,
Mm.
definitely interesting things. I'll be excited to see kind of how the meta continues to develop. One thing that is definitely missing here, there's no rocket stack.
Yeah. Um. Yep. And we're kind of seeing that same trend come through in city leagues as well. The Rockets cards did not have and were not having very much success. Although one of the best players in the world, arguably the best player in the world, tried to make it work. And I'm sure put a decent amount of effort into it. He unfortunately did. He lost his win in today too, and that of course Tord Reklev was playing over in Japan once again, and did play Mewtwo Spite Ops, but not to great success. I'm not the success that we normally expect from Tord, and I think success we were hoping for from the deck, right? Like one of our predictions was how many Rockets decks would make top cut. I said two, you said one. The answer you even said it at the end of the last podcast. I think you said when we were doing the prediction, you're like, I think it's going to be zero, and it was 0.
Yeah, which is definitely just unfortunate that someone wasn't able to come to find something like super strong with the deck. Like this list from Tord looks like a good, clean, solid list, but there's nothing like super crazy here. I mean, I guess the crazy thing is the lucky helmets that he's playing here as his tool card, like additional draw, I assume under like Iono, right?
Yeah,
Um,
because you can't play Mew, you can't play Pheasantipity. Gotta find something. You can put a lucky helmet on your Mewtwo, though. That does work.
Yeah, so that's that is honestly kind of funny. And he also does have like the 4 Team Rocket. I don't what's the name of this card? Giovanni's Guzma,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. I don't know what the
yeah.
name of it is, but that's what it does. And then the Rockets Ariana obviously broken. And he did get on stream, which was cool. It was actually cool to see that they streamed him during day one. It wasn't like a okay, I guess we have to stream this guy. It
That's
was
how it
like
felt last
the-
time. Yeah.
yeah, last time I felt like they were putting off streaming him for as long as possible. But this time he actively got on during day one, which was cool to see. And I'm not gonna lie, in that game, um, this deck did not seem that impressive to me when he was playing it, you
Yeah.
know?
He did go up against a Eevee box, and like the Angelite seems super good when you only have like one E switch in the deck. I was actually impressed by the Spite Ops though, as like an attacking option personally, for sure. Actually, if anyone goes back and watches that match, I guess like one thing interesting to bring up that has changed in the rules over in Japan is one of the rules in Japan was you can concede whenever you want, except for when time has been called. You are not allowed to concede. But now you can concede after time has been called. Apparently, that change happened like this, whatever quarter or season, like between Champions Leagues going to this round of City Leagues. That is something you can do now in Japan. We saw it happen multiple times on stream where time was called. They also play even turns over there. For anyone who doesn't know what that means, basically, if you went second and time was called on the person who went first's turn, you get one more turn. So they play to an even amount of turns. You both played 8 turns. Okay, so that means after this, if no one's won the game yet, that is a tie, and ties in Japan is a double game loss. But you can now concede to your opponents after time, which is something you couldn't do. Like when time was called, you just couldn't concede to your opponent in Japan. But they made that change, and we actually saw it happen a couple times on stream. That did happen in Tord's match as well. So if anyone's confused by what happens at the end of Tord's match, Tord's opponent does concede to him because he has game in hand to pull off on the next turn. So I think it's just kind of a good quality of life upgrade over there to Japan. I think their system is pretty bad. I kind of talk about it every single time. And I with the players who ever come in my chat who play from regions in Asia, kind of seem to share that sentiment. So I just kind of want what's best for the players. So I hope one day TPC kind of wakes up and realizes what TPCI is doing and how much better it is, how much better it is for their players, and makes the full adjustment. But for now, baby steps, I guess, across the whole world. We're all getting there together to a better a better Pokemon experience. Um, but yeah, Rockets, man, it's disappointing. We didn't see any other Rockets cards on stream. Oh no, there was a Crobat deck that made its way onto stream. I think it did lose its match, but yeah, Rockets seems pretty disappointing so far from the tournament.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a bummer. There was another tournament happening as well. There was the expanded tournament. We don't have the results from that yet, so we don't know for sure what won. Maybe the person tweeted it
I'm
out. Oh,
gonna go ahead and guess it was Reggie Drago because there was 11 Reggie Dragos in a top 16 cut. So, and then
wait,
going into top
really?
eight, yeah, going into top eight, it was 7-1, 7 Reggie Drago decks and one Vileplume. I remember someone keeping me updated in the chat while we were watching the other tournaments. So yeah, going into top eight, it was 7 Reggie Dragos and one Vileplume apparently. So I'm just gonna make a guess. It's got pretty good odds. Maybe unless the Vileplume deck was an anti Regidrago deck, I'm gonna guess Regidrago took the whole thing down.
Okay, I found a tweet from the winner, or not the winner, the second place player. Second place was a Reggie Drago.
Oh, it's possible it was a Vileplume.
So it was possible. It is possible. But we did do some predictions for this as well of which deck we thought would win. We didn't have that much knowledge going into it. Azul picks the Lugia V Star. I picked the Reggie Drago. So it looks like I did make the right call on this one. But yeah, man, this is like, I mean, seeing that that much of a deck was top cut, like made up the top cut, right? Does make me kind of glad that we don't have to play this format, but also at the same time, that would be like in theory a very exploitable thing, right? So
Well, you'd
maybe
hope, but unless it just has answers to everything.
right.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes they have it all, right? Sometimes they got the answers to literally everything. Yeah, it definitely makes you think. But also, like, there's so few players playing the format, right? It's just the players in Japan basically keeping up with it. So who knows what could become? Maybe we don't want to figure out what could be come up with in Japan if the whole Pokemon community started playing expanded again. Maybe it'd be worse. Maybe it'd be worse actually than what
Yeah.
Regidrago is.
I don't think we were meant to go, timeless GX
Through
into like
Regidrago.
doing whatever the heck. I don't even know what the heck the Salamence does. I'm not gonna lie. Is this the one that like spreads 30 to everything?
It's gotta be pretty. There's only 6 dragons in there. There's Kyurem in there as well, so it's gotta be pretty good if it's one of the 6. If it's one of the 6 dragon Pokemon we can choose from.
Yeah, Salamence EX. This attack does 50 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, and then its other attack is 300 damage. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon.
It's probably in there for the 300
Yeah.
damage attack. I'm gonna go ahead and make a guess here.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not someone who's a big fan of expanded. I don't really feel like we need to go back to expanded. If it happened on a very small scale, I'm not gonna like protest it, but I think like everyone understands like for the broader player base, even in Japan, they have one expanded major a year, and you can't sign up for the standard tournament and the expanded tournament. You have to pick between the two. So even they over there, it feels like they understand the importance of keeping standard the mainstream thing as much as possible. Doing a little expanded on the side, like hey, if we had a special event over here in America, I wouldn't like complain, right? It'd be
Sure.
cool to have. People are fans of the format, but yeah, it definitely is. There's a big card pool. It's a big card pool. I'll say that.
I'm just looking at Stefan's Twitter because Stefan did go over and compete in the tournament. So I was trying to see if maybe he retweeted the champion list. But here's another one. Again, looks very similar. Is that
Got
what does
the
this say? Deck was used to win the shield in my 4th Champions League tournament. Okay, so this must be the winner. This must be the winning list.
Well, the shield just means the top 4 placement, right? Or shield mean the
That
because
looks like a gold trophy to me. I'm not gonna lie.
oh yeah, that does. I see what you're saying there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it is the. So I guess the Vileplume deck did not hold out.
Is this a trolley? Is that what that ace spec is? Is that trolley?
We find in that.
Is that what that is?
It looks like Trolley. That seems kind of trolly though, because how are you ever gonna find that
Bro,
card?
Crobat de Dene, Lele.
Dude, we've seen all of our Pokemon at that point. Why are we trolling with Trolley? Like,
True, true.
wait, does Mysterious Treasure find Dragon Pokemon? I like forget.
Yes, Dragon and Psychic. Yeah, no, dude, they're playing Mysterious Treasure to find the one Latias,
Yeah,
the
true,
one
true,
Lele, the
true.
one Wob. Yeah, good call, Azul.
I should have just assumed, to be honest. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Treasure does find Dragon type Pokemon.
Dude, this is just gross, man. Get this off my screen. No, I'm joking.
What
But yeah,
was wait? What did you say the one non-Drago deck was?
I think it was a Vileplume. I think it was a
Okay.
Vileplume. That's what someone in my chat was saying. They're keeping us updated. There's like top 16s, 11, Drago,
Okay,
5
yeah,
other
here's a
decks.
top 4 finisher. Oh, it's Blower, dude. It's Megaton Blower. It's
Oh.
not Trolley in the other
Oh, gets rid of all
list.
their DDEs. Oh my dude. This is just toxic, bro.
There's definitely something out there that I think can't be damaged by Dragon Pokemon. Like that ability exists.
Yeah, they have Shred though.
Oh, true. JK.
They got so many
They got
tools.
answers. Yeah, yeah.
Double Dragon Energy. They're shredding. Like,
Wait, which of these guys? Oh, does the Noivern have Shred?
I
No,
don't
what
know.
has Shred?
Does
Oh, does
Rhydon maybe have
Dialga
Shred?
GX, I think, has Shred actually.
I'm sure there's a Shred in here somewhere. Someone's shredding. They have their own Noivern though. What if they just shut you off from
Dialga,
attacking them?
I'm not sure Dialga GX has Shred. Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Shredding. How much does it do? 80? It's good enough. I'm sure whatever
yeah.
they throw at us, it'll get there.
Broken deck. There you go. Bring back expanded. Hashtag bring back expanded. And speaking of expanded and the black and white cards, that was one of the other big reveals this weekend. In Japan, they did reveal a new expansion based around the fifth generation of the Pokemon video games of the Unova region, black and white. Um, this feels kind of wild and out of place. I think we knew about this, right? There was like reports
Yeah.
about this, but it just like normally the TCG sets have something to do with what's going on in the video game world. And I don't think there's anything going on in the video game world with black and white. So this just kind of feels random out of left field. But they did release a bunch of the cards over the weekend. We'll talk about those. And then also just today, when we're recording this, there was the official announcement and the box artwork for the Elite Trainer boxes of two sets, Black Bolt and White Flare. So this is really interesting because for the very first time in the western part of the world, we're going to get a set kind of in a similar way to how Japan gets sets oftentimes, which is a simultaneous release of two sets that are like meant to go together, but um it's split at the same time, right? So it'd be kind of like if they took all the evolutions and prismatic evolutions and put that in a set and then all the other stuff and put that in another set, you know? That's kind of like what you could equate this to. Half of the black and white Pokemon will be in Black Bolt, half of the black and white Pokemon will be in White Flare. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, we've never really had anything like this before. It doesn't really change too much. Like it is just kind of like one big set being released at the same time, but into like two smaller packages, which they do over in Japan. Not every set release, but some set releases are like that over in Japan, and they'll be getting this set uh pretty soon, I think, or about a month actually. They'll be getting like about a month, and it will be legal for the Japan Championships, which I believe is the week after NAIC. So we'll see those cards in action before we eventually get them later in July. Yeah, we're still gonna be a couple months separated, about a month and a half separated from the Japan release. Still, it goes on set
Yeah.
after set, but yeah, cool new cards. And honestly, they've already revealed some pretty decent ones. And actually, on Twitter today, they hinted was it like Pokemon EU Twitter's official Twitter account or something? Put out a pretty interesting tweet. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm curious what that's gonna lead to. There's a couple different ways, a couple different things you could think about with that one. I think for sure.
What is
It
it? Pokemon
does.
TCG EU or UK or
I think so.
or
I
TCG
like.
UK?
I just pulled up Twitter to see if I can find it again. It's something like that.
Oh, yeah. We don't think anybody is ready for this.
Yeah.
All 156 Pokemon from the Unova region star an exciting combination expansion, Scarlet and Violet, Black Bolt, and Scarlet and Violet, White Flare, out July 18th. Now, I probably wouldn't read into this too much because In is just a massive character from
Yeah. All right.
the
No, they're
video
hinting at
games.
something. They're hinting at something. Now
Maybe.
there's 2 things. I mean, the big one that they're hinting at is the reprint of the supporter card N. For anyone who is the potential, of course, not confirmed or anything. For anyone who doesn't know what N does, it's very similar to Iono. You take your hand, you shuffle it into your deck, not on the and put it on the bottom, and then you draw for as many prize cards you have remaining. So it is kind of like the predecessor to Iono in that sense. And if I it would be weird. I don't think you want to be able to let people be able to play 4 Iono and 4 N in a deck. Another thing to think about is Iono is rotating with next rotation, and I don't know. I want a card like Iono in the format. If we can have one, I want to see something like that can stick around. I think we would want something a little bit more powerful than Roxanne. We don't necessarily need something as powerful as N or Iono, but it would definitely have to be something better than Roxanne. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to reprint N as basically exactly as Iono, but like somehow make it so you can't play both in the same deck. Like just make a rule or something like that to kind of cover that. Because yeah, next rotation we're losing Iono. It would be really nice to have a card not exactly like Iono, but it could be exactly like Iono, but something that fills that role in the Pokemon TCG. Because I feel like the game is better when that role is filled. So just reprinting N would kind of make a ton of sense. Or maybe they print some more Ends Pokemon for Zoroark. But I doubt that's happening. I think we're done with owners Pokemon.
Yeah, I think we are done with the owner's Pokemon. Yeah, it would be kind of weird for them to have. So, like from a game design standpoint, I think they like the idea of having a disruption supporter in the game, right? A supporter you can play to draw yourself cards, but also slow your opponent down, maybe try to stifle them a little bit. Um, And we had N for a long time. It existed in black and white. Then it rotated. We got Judge, wasn't really super strong. And then eventually N kind of comes back into the game during X and Y. And it becomes, I mean, when this card is in the format, it's just going to be one of the staple supporter cards that most decks play several of, right?
Yeah.
Um, and but it would feel really weird for them to have gone from N to they're like, okay, we don't like the way N is working right now. Let's try Marnie. They go with Marnie. People mostly hate Marnie, think it's a poorly designed card.
Or even Let Loose. I think Let Loose can get a shout out in there as like
Sure.
it's what that's what we didn't have. We had Judge and Let Loose at some point, and Let Loose was pretty toxic. It was definitely never should have been printed.
Yeah. And then they adjust Marnie to a combination kind of N plus Marnie and go with the Iono. And I think like Iono overall has felt like a very healthy Pokemon trading
Yeah.
card, right? It's felt balanced, it's felt fair, it feels fine to play with, but also at the same time, I kind of like when things change and are different and we don't have the same cards year over year over year over year. So like I wouldn't hate to see a format without Iono. I think like having something come back would be good, but it would just be you know what I mean? It would feel weird for them to have made all these adjustments over a decade to get to the point where they're like, okay, from a game design perspective, we like Iono to just go back to N. I don't know.
Well, I guess they haven't said they like Iono, right? They're like, "All right, we're here.
Sure.
Let's try
It's
Iono." And it's
possible.
like they definitely liked N, right? Because they reprinted N at some point. I don't think anyone like really hated N too much. Well, that's not true, but I think I think it was healthier for the game to have N than it would have been. And maybe they think like, "All right, Iono was a good experiment, but we think N is still just the better card." Maybe they don't like the control you have with Iono of knowing that your top deck is going to be your top deck next turn if you get Ionoed, right? So maybe they want that full randomization of the shuffle in draw, and they're like, ends the better answer. But I don't, it might not be that bad. I don't like the idea of being able, of a deck being able to play 4 ends and 4 Ionos. There might not be any deck that actually ever wants to do that, and no one might take advantage of it. But that's just like a lot of hand disruption every single turn potentially. Like I don't know, it just feels weird. But I don't know. Would any deck actually play 8 deck cards like that? Maybe not. Just the idea of them both existing in the same format kind of feels a little weird. But maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Maybe I'm kind of overthinking it, and no
Yeah.
deck would actually ever be built that way. So maybe it's just fine for them to give us N right now, and you can play 4 Iono and 4 N in your deck if you want.
Let's
Um,
take a look at a handful of the cards that they revealed. We don't have to look at every single one,
Definitely
but
not.
kind of the big ones that stand out. And I think like a common theme here to highlight is that a lot of these Pokemon that are revealed call back to do something very similar, if not the exact same thing as their original release counterpart. And starting off here right away, the Victini is a bit of a callback here. V Force, 120 damage for 2 fire. But if you have less than 5 inch Pokemon, this attack does nothing. It's almost the exact same thing as one of the very first Victini cards, which was a played card at its time. I'm going to pull it up here. V Create, 100 damage if you have fewer 4 bench, 4 or fewer. Wow, I just said few or four. Is that what I just said? Few or four benched Pokemon. 4 or fewer benched Pokemon. This attack does nothing.
Yeah. So the attack condition is the same, but yeah, the plus 20 damage. And actually, it looks like it's worded. There's like a 4 in there. Right? Am I trolling? Am I
You are not trolling. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
so,
not
like,
trolling. It's literally
the
worded the
maybe
exact same
Poke
way it
Beach
used to
took a
be.
few liberties with the translation
Yeah,
here.
and we'll see how they actually end up the official translation actually ends up being. But yeah, he got Victini, I don't know how many years later, 10 years later, 10 HP and 20 more damage. He has
Yeah.
not changed a whole ton. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still like a decent like we see like the Chi-Yu is being played in Charizard right now as like a one
This
price
is
fire
better than
factor.
Chi-Yu for sure.
This will find its way at some point. It's not like a broken card or anything. This is gonna be like when we get to the cards. Like, this will be like a Reshiram or a Zekrom Axwell. It'll be a one of in fire decks. It'll be a one of in lightning decks, stuff like that. So
Yeah. One of the big reveals was Embor here with the
yep.
ability Inferno Fandango. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a fire energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. It was so funny to see people be like, they printed a fire type Baxcalibur.
Not nope. They reprinted Embor. We've had this exact same guy before. Oh yeah, that is funny for sure. And yeah, I mean it's a good card, right? There's not too much to say. Like energy acceleration of this type is very powerful. Um, and it really depends on we've seen like I think one of maybe the biggest rain dance letdown of all time is like Frostmoth. because there was just never any good water Pokemon that worked with it. Also, it had to go up
Bruh.
against ADPization, so
What about Hydreigon?
Hydreigon? Did this have a Rain Dance ability?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, man. Wait, what set is this from?
Darkness Ablaze never got played.
Sheesh, man.
Played
Rip
in nothing.
Hydreigon. Man, that's tough. That's
Yeah,
tough for Hydreigon right there.
this
I
ability is
didn't
almost always good at some point when it exists,
Yeah,
no matter
that's
what energy type it's for. But Hydreigon, yeah, it just
except
didn't
for
happen for
Hydreigon.
Hydreigon.
Yeah. Sheesh. Yeah, I'm sorry I brought that up, Hydreigon, my bad. But yeah, Ember, it's gonna be well, okay, I mean, I guess I would have said that about Hydreigon back in the day as well. I would have said, yeah, this Hydreigon will be good at some point. Like it has Rain
Right,
Dance.
right.
But this Blaziken or this Ember, if it's not good on release, at some point it'll be good. Also, I would say fire type. No, dark type gets a lot of love.
It does.
But fire type probably edges it out by a little bit. I'd want to say if they're not if not they're like 50-50. But yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. But also, I guess I would say fire Pokemon lean more into needing a lot of energy in play to utilize big attacks. Dark Pokemon are definitely not built
Yeah.
or designed that way as often.
I'm going to go with the Reshiram and Zekrom kind of at the same time here, since they are basically the same card. 230 HP, basic fire type for the Reshiram, slash for 2 colorless does 50 damage, and then Blaze Burst 130 plus. This attack does 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. Discard an energy from this Pokemon. And then Zekrom is the exact same thing, but yellow, and it does 30 damage to itself as
Yeah.
opposed to discarding.
Yeah. So both these are just like one of comeback cards or one of closer cards in decks. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing wild. It's just like, I mean, Miraidon now has access to a closer with Zekrom or even Joltik Box. Maybe, of course, both decks have access to Ursaluna, but there definitely could be situations up against like Charizard decks or Dragapult decks where you need to hit a little bit harder, and finding the Gust effect could be tough. So, yeah, just potential one of inclusions.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think one of the biggest reveals that got a lot of people talking was the reveal of this electric, because it is
Definitely.
a direct reprint. Dynamotor. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic lightning energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. They did not bring back Flaffy. Well, they did, but they brought back Electric. This is like the exact same as the card that existed back in Noble Victories.
At least Victini got some HP and some damage. Literally nothing here. Although 90 HP is level ball coming back. Level ball's coming.
And that's one of the things that we've seen a lot of speculation about. Basically, ever since this card got revealed, it's like, okay, there's the precedence that they can just like reprint the same card 10 or 15 years later. Um, what other stuff could be coming back? And a big one that a lot of people have been calling to, especially I saw a lot of people highlighting this. Is it in this article? Yeah, this image right here.
Oh yeah.
I saw a couple people tweet this, circling the Garbodor, saying the Garbodor's on the 10. He's gonna have some sort of card. What is the Garbodor gonna do? Is it Garbotoxin? Is Garbotoxin coming back? One of the most broken cards in the history of the game.
Yeah, but broken in not like a toxic or oppressive way. I guess I would say that. It's just like one of the best cards ever. If you got a tool on your Garbodor, its ability says your opponent's Pokemon or each Pokemon in play has no ability. So the most powerful ability lock of all time, or at least for a long time. I don't know, it was way back like the pre 2010. I don't know, but pretty good card. If this did come out, we would need some kind of tool removal to come out alongside it, obviously. So that'd be something as well. I don't think they're going to give us Garbotoxin. And honestly, I don't really want Garbotoxin personally. We got Psyduck. We have the Rocket's Watchtower. Like, I don't know. We have some ability control. It doesn't feel like its abilities are that oppressive or something like that. I guess it would open up like a whole new kind of way to play the game, like Garbodor decks, but I don't know. I'm not holding out hope for this just 'cause I don't really want to see it too much. Like I'm not like someone who's like, oh my gosh, yeah, bring Garbodor back. And I played a lot of Garbodor in my day, so
Imagine telling Azul in 2015 that 10 years later you would still be using N plus Garbotoxin to win games.
yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah, I do want to see N come back. For sure. Not even specifically N. I want to see something that replaces Iono. And it feels like it kind of makes sense for it to be N for sure. I personally am not I don't really care if Garbodor comes back. If it comes back, it's fine. If it doesn't, I'm not really concerned about it. Yeah.
I did see that like the reverse hollow version of Electric got bought out on TCG Player,
Yeah.
like the old one.
But can you
I d-
play it? Because it's the exact same card, right?
I think that there is going to be, well, it depends. I think it depends. One
is
of
it
the
like
big differences is at this point, it just said you may attach a lightning energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon, and
mm,
this one specifies basic lightning energy.
well, that's what the translation specifies currently. But
Which
is that how they've been translating stuff recently? Because like for anyone who doesn't quite understand, the only other energy you could accelerate would be special energy, but there's no. Oh, but I guess like in the future there could be like a speed lightning energy, right?
exactly. So like
Yeah.
the precedent well, so like the wording on speed lightning energy.
Like luminous energy and reversal energy for anyone who's like curious what we're talking about. Those are only lightning energy when it's attached to a Pokemon. So if it's in your discard pile, it's a energy card. So electric.
I'm tired, bro. What? Wait. Oh, is it just speed like L energy? Yeah.
Yeah,
There we
maybe.
go.
Yeah. But there has been energy in the past, like oh wait. Oh, as long as it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides lightning energy.
So when it's in the discard pile, it's not a lightning energy.
It's just a energy card. Interesting.
But like
So
dark and metal energy, special dark, special metal, these cards
way
were
back,
always
right?
darkness energy. So like if there was an ability that similar to the electric said like attach a darkness energy from your discard pile, you would have been able to attach this because it doesn't say, you know what I
People used
mean?
to do that with Weavile, right? The water Weavile.
I think so.
Isn't that how that card worked? Which one I'm talking? Yeah, yeah.
Once during your turn, each of your active Pokemon's type is dark. Search your deck for 2 dark energy cards, attach them to any of your Pokemon any way that you
Yeah.
like. Yes, yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess maybe they wouldn't let you do it, but currently in the current format, there's nothing that the old electric would interact with, like at all. And it could be one of those errata things, like we're allowed to play old quick ball, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
but you're not allowed to play any old electric, you know?
what do you mean?
Like and that's why I kinda dislike the, like, letting people play the old quick ball and the old super rod and stuff that
I think
have
I am.
nothing
Oh,
similar because it's like, well, what are you talking about? I that
well, okay,
the
sure,
that
sure,
quick
sure. I see
ball
what
and
you're
current
saying.
quick balls say nothing the same thing at all. Why can't I use this electric in place of my current
Yeah,
electric? It's like the
that is
exact
fair.
same thing.
I do think for simplicity of the game, it would probably be best for them to remove the errata rule or letting you play old cards rule up to a point. Like obviously, like there is some, and I actually had a lot of people bring this up on my stream over the weekend.
Like,
People were tuning in.
you can currently play this
Yeah,
card in standard.
I showed people that card because you gave me some to use at tournaments, which I haven't used yet. So I do need to use get some use out of them before I give them back to you. But
They're yours, bro.
yeah, that competition came up on my chat, and I was like, yeah, you can use these cards. And I showed them the super odds, and they're like, oh wait, really? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, but yeah, I don't know if you should be able to. I mean, if I ever play super on a deck again, I'm gonna play these super odds because I can. But people were like surprised to see some people using yellow border cards still on the Japanese stream and in Milwaukee, and people had some questions about that. But yeah, you can use older trainers, Pokemon is different. Pokemon is different, but
Yeah.
there would be. I guess there is no precedent for being able to do something like use the old electric.
Well, there was one time, so there was this Magikarp that was legal. It came out in Hidden Fates. It just has splash for 10 damage, 30 HP, weak to lightning. It
Uh-huh.
is exactly the same as this Magikarp from her Gold Soul Silver base set. And so when this card was out, this card was also legal for play in standard, even though it was very old, because it is literally the exact same card. Same attack name.
You could use it?
You could use it. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so there is precedent for it.
Yes, there is. And
Interesting.
there's also like
I
Weedle.
feel like they'll probably let us use our eel just based on how yeah, whether or not they should, I think I agree with you. I think we should just be like, if the card wasn't printed in the last 5 years, yeah, you can't use it. Like, especially with stuff like the Super Rod and the Quick Ball, those things are a little bit out there where it's like, dude, the text like
Yeah.
doesn't even say at least with the electric, it's like it's not the exact same text, but it's also not gonna mess anything up on a board state. Um, I don't know. Maybe the carp special.
But yeah, those were kind of the big ones. There's a couple other reveals here as well to talk about. Um, First off, like a couple of trainer cards that are going to be printed again, energy retrieval with an I regulation mark. But
Uh,
interestingly, Professor's Research, Professor Juniper with a G
Let's
regulation mark.
go. Let's go. It's happening. Iono boss and research will all be rotating. We need an Iono replacement, but we don't need a boss or research replacement. I'm really excited for this. Honestly, the more I've played with research and boss, the more boring it's got. At first, when people initially were complaining about this, I was like, I don't know, is it really that bad? I don't know. The game's fun right now, but the more we've played with it, I've kind of joined that side of things where it's like I don't care that much. But honestly, things changing is just makes things more fun. Like I want to play new Pokemon, not the same Pokemon every single time, right? I know there's always new cards being printed, but if every deck plays 4 research, 4 Iono, 4 boss, it's like, all right, what's going on here? Obviously, that's not the current landscape of the game, but I'm excited for research to rotate and boss to rotate. We have so many other Gust Effect options that are like cool and interesting that we just don't use because we have bosses orders. So why would you? So yeah, I think this is like I think last time was already really telling when like all the other artworks of research didn't have new regulation marks. This like for anyone who is still on the fence, like come on, how can you not see the writing on the wall this time around? So yeah, research is going to be rotating. It'll be interesting for sure.
Yep. And another reprint here, Air Balloon getting a
I
reprint.
Yeah. So Air Balloon reduces the retreat cost of Pokemon it's attached to by 2 colorless energy, which obviously makes it just better than Rescue Board. And not as good as Floatstone for anyone who isn't familiar with Floatstone. That was legal when Garbodor was a card. Garbodor has 3 retreat costs. Floatstone said you had no retreat cost. It was just like a do it all retreat tool card. So Floatstone was definitely way too good. And I'm glad they stopped. They reprinted it once, right? But I'm glad after that they stopped. I actually and I usually don't care too much about card design and stuff as long as stuff doesn't seem like super broken. Like if they reprinted Field Blower, I'd have a problem, or Floatstone, I'd have a problem. But I actually don't like Air Balloon reprint. I think the card is too good. I think Rescue Board has felt great as like a pivot card where you even include it in decks that have like a Revavroom engine or a Zoroark engine, and you have to work a little bit harder, right? They have 2 retreat cost, but you still play the card because getting it down to 1 retreat cost is like then you have something to work with, or you have to play Turo, which is like a more expensive way to move your active Pokemon because it's just a border. Air Balloon, where it's not Floatstone, but it's kind of leaning a little bit too much into that kind of catch-all situation where it's like a do-it-all retreat tool card. So I don't like that they reprinted Air Balloon. I think this is gonna make games more boring and less interesting. It's like, oh, everyone plays an Air Balloon, and it's like you don't have to work for your retreat like you have to kind of do with a rescue board, or you don't have to play Turo to move your Pokemon. It's just everyone has their Air Balloon and they're moving their Pokemon around. So it's gonna be boring. That it's not the whole game is Air Balloon, but that aspect of the game is gonna become more boring.
A couple other reprints here. We've got Sharon, draw 3 cards, and Prism Energy. Now, this is a pretty big one. It was really funny seeing a lot of people's reaction to this just because, like, this is an exact reprint of a card that existed before. But people were like, oh, like, it has something to do with terrestrial Pokemon. Don't you see? Look
Yeah.
at the design of the card.
Literally, people in my chat were saying that.
But
I
yeah,
did
this card it provides a colorless energy, but if the Pokemon it's attached to is a basic Pokemon, it provides every type of energy, but only one energy at a time. So it is a effectively a rainbow energy.
Yeah, Terra Pokemon are done. I feel like there's a lot of new people who are getting into the game who don't like when a mechanic's done in the Pokemon TCG, it's done. Like there's no Terra Pokemon are done, owners Pokemon are done. Next thing is next. Um yeah, reprint on the are we gonna be able to play? Is there any precedent for special energy?
We would be able to play. Yeah, there is. There's tons. Have you ever heard of double colorless energy?
Yep. All right. So we haven't seen every card, of course. I feel like they gave us some big ones though. This is definitely gonna be more impactful of a set, I feel like, than Shrouded Fables, which we got before last year's World. So definitely a lot more excited for Worlds this time around. I think we're gonna see a lot more creativity and innovation than Raz not playing Pheasantipity in his Regidrago and everyone else did. So I'm a lot more excited for what comes out of this set for sure. Oh, we have one more big card to talk about, to be honest.
Two more big cards. We've got
Oh, true.
Hilda, new supporter card. Search your deck for one evolution Pokemon and one energy card. Reveal them and put them in your hand. And a card that can combo with is Ignition Energy. This card, if this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, discard it at the end of your turn. It provides a colorless energy while it's attached to a Pokemon. But if the Pokemon is attached to as an evolution Pokemon, it provides 3 colorless energy instead.
Dude, slacking enjoyers are eating good with this set, bro. The Hilda and the Ignition Energy, bro. Slacking is about to have a huge come up. Honestly, I've already locked in my world's choice. I'll be grinding slacking as soon as the set drops, and I'll be winning the world championships with slacking.
Let's go.
Quote me on it. But yeah, the triple energy really, really cool. And then the Hilda also just a kind of a cool supporter, right? Like it's like a niche supporter. It'll be played in stuff like Slack, and I'm sure it'll find its way into other decks. But more supporters like that always gives you more avenues to make more interesting deck choices in terms of deck building.
Yeah, so yeah, excited to see kind of more of what comes out of this. I guess something else we can mention quickly is um some of the artwork stuff. I know Azul generally doesn't care about this stuff, but um, every single Pokemon is going to receive either an illustration rare or a secret illustration rare. And then there will be secret rare versions of these Pokemon revealed. They will have a new rarity, BWR, presumably stands for black and white rare, which is
Yeah.
just a solid black Zekrom, solid white Reshiram, very reminiscent and similar to their original full art cards from Black and White base set.
I actually remember when those got revealed or when I saw them for the first time, like everyone was super hype about them, and even I was super hype about them back in the day because those did look super sick. Um, and honestly, the new artworks look pretty sick as well. But yeah, this was like the first time this artwork was ever used on a card. This Zekrom that Chip has pulled up here. So I'm not gonna go on my way to get them myself, but it's cool to see them bring those back and show them off again.
Yeah, and if you've seen those cards recently, it's because they did get featured in celebrations for the 25th anniversary. Definitely some of the more iconic artwork cards in the
Yeah,
history of the game for sure. So cool to see them kind of pay homage to that. And then the Victini as well, which is just solid red.
yeah. Wasn't there something about the? I thought I saw something on Twitter about the Victini's only going to be like available in Japan or something, or
I,
is that a different promo version of it? Maybe.
I have no clue.
Okay. Yeah.
From June through August, Japan will be holding Victini BWR battle tournaments where you use booster packs of black and white and or black bolt and white flare to build a deck and battle other players. Winners receive the new Victini promo, which is the same monochromatic style.
Okay. But is that the only way to acquire it, or will it be in the set as well? I so it's
In Japan at least.
okay. So the Japanese ones might be limited.
We don't know how they'll do it here. And see, that's something they don't do here that would be so sick.
Yeah,
I'm
like having just like more.
having to go to league to do a draft style tournament to get a specific promo card. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, like no championship points on the line, non-competitive, just like playing some Pokemon. Dude, you show up, there's a bunch of collectors there, you just body them, bro. You just farm them for free dubs. Like they're trying to get their Victini
You
promo,
beat them, and
dude.
then they ask you how much you want for your Victini promo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that'd be cool for they it's there's a lot of cool things. There's some cool things to do over here. There's a lot of cool things to do over Japan. It'd be nice to see have like all the cool things like kind of worldwide.
Yeah.
Um, but not quite yet. Not quite yet.
But yeah, those are the big reveals so far. I'm sure in the next few months we'll get more and more reveals ahead. Looking forward to seeing what the Garbodor does that they print. Any other black and white era cards that you would kind of be? I know you don't think about the game in this way, but is there any other black and white era card that you think you'd be like kind of hyped to see get reprinted?
Not really. It would really just be N, to be honest. But it's not so much N for the sake of N, it's N for the sake of an Iono replacement. So if N doesn't get printed, as long as they give us an Iono replacement before Iono gets rotated, I'll be happy. So that's kind of it. I'm just excited if they just cool and interesting cards. That's all that matters to me.
You know, one thing I'm hoping for, and with the
I guess honestly, if they gave us Garbodor back, they would definitely give us Tool Scrapper, right? It would be Tool Scrapper.
with the rotation of boss's orders. You know, we need a replacement for some strong form of gust in the format.
We have plenty of options. We got
And during the black and white era, one of the strongest ever versions of a gust card existed, and that is Pokemon Catcher. Bring it back, unleash mayhem into the
oh my
world.
gosh.
Different from the original, the current Pokemon Catcher. There's no flip on this thing. Switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. It is literally boss's orders, but on an item card. Come on, let's bring it back. Pokemon, make it happen. Let's see it.
Yeah, it was so good. They effectively banned this card, right? They errated it. Uh, they basically errated it, right? But did it come out with like the new set that came out with it was flip a coin or
Yes. So it came out. It was printed twice in the black and white era, once in Emerging Powers, once in Plasma Blast. And then when X and Y base set came out, it wasn't in
flip?
X and Y base set, but it was in the Kalos starter set.
Hmm.
And that's whenever the change happened. And I think that must be why they eroded it, because it wasn't like actually in the set, something
Yeah.
like that. I don't
So it
know.
was like a forced errata though. It wasn't just kind of like, the next version of catcher is going to be a flip. It was like, all right, this thing is kind of silly. Let's put an end to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that does not happen. We don't need Pokemon catcher, no flip. We still have wait, I think Pokemon catcher flip does rotate. Counter catcher maybe does as well. Stuff to think about as we get closer to the next rotation, but dude,
I thought you
things are always happening in the Pokemon TCG, man. Things are always yeah, it does rotate. Okay. New set coming up. More tournaments coming up. Everything seems to be staying relatively fresh. It's exciting. Future's bright.
Definitely. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what else, what more news we have to cover next week. And we'll have a lot of tournaments to talk about next week as well. But I think that's going to do it for our episode this week. Azul, you got anything else you want to say to the people before we get to our bonus episode?
No, send us out.
Thanks a bunch to everyone for listening. And if you did enjoy, be sure to leave us a like, a review, a rating, comment, subscribe. Those things help us out a bunch. Let us know you're enjoying what we're doing over here on the podcast. Be sure to check out our second channel, Uncommon Energy. We just put out a new Evolution series video, which I know is a lot of people's favorite series that we do over there. So be sure to check that out if you have not yet. And yeah, we appreciate the support as always. If you want to stay up to date with what we've got going on, be sure to follow us over on Twitter. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie, Azul at Azul_GG. You can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
Yeah, appreciate the support as always. And we'll catch y'all next week, 7 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday.